Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR392. It's AEW Full Gear pre-show, and we are live. But I am not alone. I have the pleasure to be joined by the WNR team members. First, we've got Monty. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm figuring it out as we go. It's a big night, big day. So I'm excited. Let's do this, man. We're back live. These shows are always cool and fun and surprisingly lengthy, but I'm ready. I'm here for the long haul. Let's do it.
Well, I usually have that complaint about being surprisingly lengthy, and like I said, the show tonight good.
That's what she said.
Yeah, exactly. Should be. We started already, I know, but of course, Monty, you're a regular here. Another regular for the WNR team is also Jaxie. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. Happy Full Gear night. I'm super excited to be here and super excited at the special guest we have.
Well, without a doubt, it feels like I speak to you guys all the time, and of course, the Ultimate One can't make the show, but we've got a very special guest, and last but by no means least, our special guest is Purple Rain, aka Gina. How you doing?
Hello, thank you for having me on the show. I'm super excited to join you all.
Well, it's fantastic to have you on the course. I was just going to say, it's great to have you, but what is your connection to the WNR?
So my connection is my twin sister is Jaxie Scarlett.
Oh, dun, dun, dun. So it's finally happened. We're his twins on the show. Can I just say how happy I am to have you, obviously, both on. But Gina, of course, this is your first time. So kind of what wrestling are you into?
So I was into WWE, but I won't lie, I have kind of refrained from watching that recently. I'm more of an AEW girl now. AEW is like my baby.
Well, I'm glad I'm doing AEW tonight, and like I said, we've got 2 Dynamites and 2 Rampages. We've got those fun and games, and we'll probably fit in a mass debate as well, plus predictions. But we will start in Japan because the last couple of special shows that we've done, we have looked at NJPW, and of course, like I said, the Ultimate One is not here. So, Monty, did you watch Power Struggle last weekend?
Yes, I did. One of those shows that gave me a lot of lengthy, another show that was surprisingly lengthy, but only for different reasons, because they're usually very, very long shows. But they, since the pandemic, of course, they've been slowing down, only doing like 5 matches per show in the G1, which is not, usually they would have 10 matches every night, even in the G1. So it was cool to see them get back to normal and kind of having another one of those big cards where it was a lot on the line. So it was a fun night, though. Fun night. A lot of big things happened. Title changes, and they set the course for what's coming on January 4th, which is January 4th and 5th, which is Wrestle Kingdom, which is their WrestleMania in New Japan. So
yeah.
It's a lot of exciting things going on.
I'm just glad you said you watched it, otherwise this would be a really short segment. But don't worry, Jaxie, Gina, we're going to ask you a few questions as well. But first off, we start with the Power Struggle results. I'm starting to like, because I'm watching it a bit more. I'm starting to like the King of Sports at the start as well. And I go, yeah, it's New Japan. We start November 6th. It's Power Struggle. And we're going to look at the 3 main shows. 3 main results even, because Kenta won the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship at New Japan Struggle. Of course, he fought Moxley earlier. Of course, made a few appearances on Dynamite as well, and finally won the title, beating Hiroshi Tanahashi. Monty, what were your thoughts on this matchup?
I thought it was a very, very cool match. It was a rematch of a match they literally had last year, but it was over the briefcase that Kenta contained, which we gave him a shot at the United States title in the future, which is that match you talk about with Moxley. So it was a briefcase that he had won. I think the New Japan Cup in New Japan Strong. And, so it was kind of ironic that a year later, here we are again with Tanahashi versus Kenta, but different circumstances as Tanahashi was the champion. It's kind of funny to me. He mentioned a lot in his promos after matches as champion that he can't wait to come to the United States and show his power with the United States Championship, and he never got a chance to come over to the United States as a champion because Kenta snatched it up. This was a very physical match. A lot of people don't necessarily like Kenta's style these days because he's not really what he used to be, and he kind of cheats a lot more, but I really like it because he really fits this character. He's having the time of his life in Japan right now, and his reign as United States champion, I think he's a perfect person to take the title off Tanahashi because of his relationship, like you said, with the Moxley, and his ability to speak English also is a nice thing. Not saying that it mattered when it came to Tanahashi because he's a legend and one of the greatest of all time. Doesn't matter to me what language he speaks. He's a great champion. But when it comes to Kenta being United States champion, being able to challenge Moxley, and kind of like what he did after this match, basically calling out CM Punk. As if you don't know, the creator of the Go to Sleep is Kenta, the finisher that CM Punk is, kind of made famous, especially in America. So, nice. I've always wanted to see those two go at it. Even when Kenta signed with NXT back in the day, I kind of always, was hoping that you had a chance to see that match. So it's really cool that they're teasing that that's a possibility now. So Kenta with United States champion, as United States champions, provide a lot of interesting, booking for plans for the future. Like you mentioned, if a Moxley return with AEW's relationship with New Japan, especially with the United States Championship, I think this is a big move, great move for New Japan.
Well, this is the thing, and what I was going to ask, I'll start with Jaxie, is like, because with New Japan, sometimes it can be too much to watch in a week, or sometimes. What would it take for kind of you or even Eugenia, like to watch a New Japan show? Yeah. Would it be someone like CM Punk versus like a Kenta? Because then the story probably be told on Dynamite as well.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, I've always had a bit of interest to get involved, and especially since our last discussion, where I was greatly educated by not just Monty, but Ultimate One as well on this. I've definitely got keen interest to be watching Wrestle Kingdom in January. So, this whole discussion has just kind of hyped me up even more. I would actually say even, the likes of Will Ospreay. I know that he's done some work in New Japan and everything as well. That type of draw is always interesting to me. But yeah, definitely would love, hands down, love to see CM Punk versus Kenta. So that would definitely draw me in at the click of my fingers.
I think without the other match we had Kaida versus Tonga. And Kaida managed to beat Tama Tonga to confirm his spot in the main event of the Tokyo Dome. The G1 Climax winner, Kaida, issued a challenge to Buddy Matthews as well for the Battle of Valley. What we're going to get on with Buddy Matthews, of course, the former Buddy Murphy, which should be a great match. And then we had Shingo versus Zack Sabre Jr. as well. Monty, what did you think of this? Because I guess the GP title was on the line. I didn't think Zack Sabre was going to win, but I thought this was brilliant. I thought he was fantastic in this matchup.
Man, Zack Sabre Jr. has done. I'm spoiled, as a New Japan fan because you get to see him do it. I've gotten to see him do this with so many different opponents all the time, but right now it just seems like he's in a whole different just groove in the ring, and this match was no exception. He picked up right where he left off after a great G1, having classic matches, and I thought this match was pretty much just as good as their first encounter, if you count the G1. So, you're right. There was no way that Zack Sabre Jr. was winning the match because, I just think changing the champion, going this close to Wrestle Kingdom, probably is definitely something that's just not really in New Japan's nature. They don't change their world champions often anyway, So it was just another impressive performance by both men. It was times where I thought Shingo limbs may have been legitimately broke because that's just how Zack Sabre Jr. will stretch you out with the many submissions that he know. And he even mentioned that after the match that he thought he broke Shingo's arm, but Shingo wouldn't tap. And, just that determination and grit, that other level you have to go into to beat a guy like Zack Sabre Jr., it works every time. And he's great. He's really, really good. And I think him and the champion have a great chemistry, kind of like what Shingo has with Will Ospreay, you mentioned earlier, Jaxie. Shingo and Will Ospreay always have great matches together, and Zack Sabre Jr. is right in their league. I don't think he take a backseat to anybody in the ring.
Well, I think without doubt. And the other thing I really, really enjoyed about as well is I love with Zack Sabre Jr. because he looks quite a smaller guy, so to speak, but he just turns into a proper cockney. He's shouting like, "Come on, dickhead, kick me! Go on, dickhead! You think that's good?" And I'm going, "How you would be allowed to get away with this in England? Like the amount of swearing."
No, you wouldn't. Oh yes. He is the reason why my American self figured out that, like I've seen now many times, that wanker is a bad word, and they just let Drew, like I know Drew McIntyre get away with it all the time in WWE, and they just let him say it because we're ignorant to the fact that that is what I guess to what that means. I guess it just sounds funny to us. I don't know why censors don't notice it, but Zack Sabre Jr. Yes, he is vulgar. Like you said, dickhead is something. Oh my goodness, he's everything. He's great. I promise you, in every way. He's snooty about his veganship. So he always brags on how he's 100% soy. So he's great. And I love the fact that he has that lean build. That's why it's always shocking when he just takes the damage that he takes, because they hit hard in New Japan. So if you notice, Zach has started to bulk up a little bit. I think he realized as he's getting, it's fighting in the heavyweight division, it's going to be better to put more muscle on your body as you take those shots. But anyway, Zach is just awesome in many different levels. That's just one of them.
Yeah, and I think this sets the stage perfectly for Wrestle Kingdom in January, which hopefully we'll do a live Rumble show and we'll cover the results on that as well. But also, Full Gear is not the only show on tonight, because New Japan have got Battle of the Valley card, which is streaming at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't ask me, Monty. I have no idea what time that is. But we'll run the card. We'll run through the card quickly. We've got Violence Unlimited, Chris Dickinson and Brody King versus Stray Dog Army. Josh Alexander versus Yuri Imura. Now, the only thing I'm interested about is, of course, Josh Alexander wrestling Impact. Who is Yuri Imura, and did I really just murder that name?
Yes, you are butchering it. It's Imura, but I'll give you a break. It's not bad. But I'll give you, Imura. Imura. But anyway,
right.
Anyway, besides it, he's another guy, a promising young talent who I think in a few years he could be really, really special in New Japan. He's I don't know if he's officially graduated from the LA Dojo quite yet or not. I think he's still a young lion, but much like Will Ospreay's opponent on tonight, he's another guy that I've been watching now for years as a young lion, pay his dues, not win much, but you can steadily see the growth in the ring. You can steadily see the improvement in his body. So you're more someone to watch in years to come as he using New Japan Strong kind of now, I think, as his excursion. And, maybe in a few years you'll hear that name again and he'll look completely different. That's usually how the New Japan system grooms their new stars.
Well, we got Moose, who's the Impact World Champion, now going against Juice Robinson. I do love the story of Juice Robinson. We've got Fred Rosser, David Finlay, Rocky Romero, Alex Zane, and Alex Coughlin, who's got a fantastic moustache, versus Team Filthy, Tom Lawler, JR Kratos, Danny Limelight, Gerald Nelson, Isaacs. That's helped me out a little bit more because I've been watching some more strong, a bit like Clark Connors and Carl Fredericks versus Jeff Cobb in TJP, because of course TJP, Jeff Cobb and Will Ospreay all in the same group now, aren't they?
Yeah, United Empire.
And speaking of Will Ospreay, we got him versus Ren Narita, who we've seen, of course, on Dynamite as well. And the main event, Tomohiro Ishii versus Jay White for the Never Openweight Championship. Ishii beat Moose last time. They had like a special world card. Of course, Jay White is Jay White. Now, Gina, does anything on that card kind of pique your interest?
I think all of it does, if I'm truly honest. The way you guys have described it has made it sound so exciting. I would absolutely love to tune in if I can. I did speak with Jaxie when she had been given a rundown from both of you at the last podcast, and even when she was describing sort of what you had told her about, did pique my interest. I think the main issue for me is finding the time.
Yeah. I think we all struggle with that.
Preach.
Yeah.
Preach.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd be, complaining about too much quality wrestling, but that is literally what it is at this moment in time. I'm just glad WWE are like, do you know what? We'll try and help out a little bit.
Deliver just some mediocre type content.
Well,
just repeat stuff. We'll just kind of repeat the cycle and stuff, and then that'll give everyone else a chance to watch other shit.
Well, we're going to get into, of course, with our master debate later. It's going to be WWE versus AEW. That's going to be interesting. But we've got a bit of news. And we're going to talk the WWE pay-per-view schedule. Because, of course, along with AEW, WWE. And it's interesting reading because their first pay-per-view is Saturday, January 3rd. Which is day one. Then Saturday, January 29th is the Royal Rumble. Saturday, April 2nd, Sunday, April 3rd is WrestleMania, so the 2 nights again. Sunday, May 8th is a normal pay-per-view. The same with June 5th pay-per-view as well. Then Saturday, July 2nd, Money in the Bank. Saturday, July 30th is SummerSlam, the first SummerSlam not taking place in August. Saturday, September 3rd or Sunday, September 4th, pay-per-view at a to-be-determined location. And then Saturday, series at the Boston Gardens as well. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on that? Because I've had a couple of takeaways from the pay-per-view schedule.
I mean, I'm just a little bit overwhelmed with how many things are going on. Wondering if I have the time for it all.
I think as a Brit, I'm happy that Saturdays have become like the go-to day now because the amount of days off work that I've missed staying up to watch Royal Rumble or, like I said, with some Money in the Bank, both on Saturdays as well. And, of course, the September pay-per-view, there's rumours that it is going to be WWE pay-per-view in England. And, I mean, we have been waiting that when you consider it's
really?
20 years since we last had, 20 or 30 years since SummerSlam. How old am I? 30 years since SummerSlam.
No, seriously, I mean,
Insurrection don't count.
No, I mean, listen, Insurrection never counted.
Yeah, it was filler. It was filler wrestling, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was filler, complete filler. So, none of the storyline was relevant, nothing. So it didn't really matter.
Well, I can't.
I mean, if that is true, we are going to have to do a WNR, meet up and actually attend this.
Yeah, I know.
It's too good to not do.
Well, this is the thing, and if the rumours of an AEW show, obviously Craven Cottage being owned by Tony Khan as well, we could have an AEW Super Show and a W pay-per-view in the UK, and that's uncharted territory.
I definitely would have been at Fighter Fest had it been in the UK. So I'm just itching and waiting and biding my time until I hear AEW is coming to London, because there's no way I'm not going to be attending that.
I mean, like I say, I think if anybody can get a chance, because the thing is with WrestleMania, Monty, you've been to a WrestleMania, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been to a couple, and I'm thinking of going to Dallas. Yeah, I've been to a couple.
That's right for some.
I'm thinking of going to Dallas. So it's right it's in striking distance, right over there in Dallas. So there you go.
I guess we might be doing a road trip to Monty's then.
Yeah, is your decision dependent on what matches are going to be on the match card for WrestleMania, or?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I part of me just want to go see because I'm that interested in whatever they're doing with Roman. But at the same time, I do want them to flesh out the card a little bit more. And I can't wait around, though, because WrestleMania tickets, they will get snapped up fast. So it's just something I'm deliberating on, saving money, stuff like that.
Well, let us know what you decide.
Yeah, and then we'll come along. Just, we've got someone to say, haven't we? So.
Yeah,
that's how I felt when y'all was bringing up the London show. I'm like, I hope y'all gonna do a WNR meetup.
If you take us to Texas, we'll bring you to London.
Listen, if anyone wants to sponsor the WNR3,
yes,
to
please.
go to the WrestleMania event and join up with the rest of our Over the Pond WNR podcast, feel free to get in contact with WNR and we can arrange that. I mean, if you want us live, let us be live all together. It's up to you.
Just think of the children. Come on. That works.
Think of the children.
I mean, I would like to now say that I'm part of the WNR cast as well, so that includes me too. You can't send one twin and not the other.
That is actually true. That is true.
You don't want to separate sisters. Why would you separate twin sisters? You wouldn't do that.
It would be very cool to attend one at some point. together. That would be so fun.
I was
For
gonna say,
sure.
the thing is, in America, and the people have the chance, and we really don't. Great if they bring a pay-per-view here, so at least something of
Sure.
AJ Styles winning the WWE title here, but that was in Manchester, and I only go see it in London. So, you know what I'm saying? It's very, very difficult for WWE to kind of do something like that. But we'll see what happens there. WWE schedule, very, very interesting. Like I said, with Day 1 coming up as well at the start of January. After next week's Survivor Series, that will be the next date. So it'll be interesting to see. We got some news as well, and we heard about Jim Ross has confirmed he's battling skin cancer. The 69-year-old veteran broadcaster who's been part of AEW since the very beginning revealed that he's been diagnosed with a disease and now waiting decision on the best course of action. Of course, a lot of rumours that maybe maybe JR's last commentating gig for a little while. Gina, what kind of impact has JR had as a commentator, not only in the kind of history of wrestling, but with AEW?
I mean, he's just a legend in himself, really. I mean, when I was younger, watching and listening to JR during the Attitude Era, he just made matches more exciting than maybe what they actually were, just from his commentary. He was such a great personality to just have on the show that he was definitely missed when he would miss commentating on some shows. So when we saw that he had joined the AEW team, I was super ecstatic, especially because I knew that AEW isn't as restricting. They let the commentators get on with how they would like to commentate rather than have somebody feeding it in their ear constantly. And you can tell that it's not as scripted as maybe the WWE commentators are. But just having him come into the AEW brand, and you know that he's also given advice to all of the new young wrestlers that are coming into that brand. It's just nice and refreshing to see him there. And I really wish him a speedy recovery, because that's not something I'd even want to wish on my enemy, really.
Oh, no, like I said, and the thing is, people think JR's commentary has maybe changed and he's kind of more grouchy recently, but I was watching Survivor Series 96, and he was moaning to McMahon about the amount of referees in a match. So he's been doing it for 25 years, and like I said, the guy is an absolute legend, and hopefully tonight he can make a kind of another legendary call, as we can throw so many in, you know, through the act and everything like that. And like I said, best wishes to JR.
Yeah. Can I also do a little shout out as well for Eddie Guerrero? It's 16 years today that we lost him, and it is a big shout out to him. He's never going to be forgotten.
Without that,
For sure.
like I said, Eddie Guerrero, one of the greatest to ever me on Twitter as well. When people just think he's a great wrestler because he died young or whatever it was, people go back, watch his body of work, you realise what he was as well. Saying that, me and Monty were going to speak about last week but left the show is Ring of Honor, because their press release sent shockwaves through the wrestling industry. As they said, many people will be losing their, although Ring of Honor will continue to pay its talent till the end of the year, but come January 2022, everyone will be released and none of the contracts will be picked up again. The idea, if Ring of Honor starts again in the first quarter of 2022, the company will use free agents instead of contracts as well. Their final show December 11th, which is a pay-per-view, appropriately titled Final Battle. And of course, it was formed in 2002, was acquired by Sinclair Broadcast Group in 2011, been losing apparently. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, like you said, it sent shockwaves, and for good reason. You know, Ring of Honor is literally the reason why everything that you literally like about pro wrestling of the last 15, 20 years possibly. You can give credit to Ring of Honor. You can give credit to guys from Ring of Honor, the Bryan Danielsons that we're getting ready to pay money and enjoy a great performance again from. Guys like Bryan Danielson, guys like CM Punk. People on this card literally full gear, like we're talking about with Adam Cole and Red Dragon. It's just I can go down the list. If I listed everyone with like the Cesaros and the Kevin Steens or Kevin Owens and Tyler Blacks, aka Seth Rollins, like if I just went down the list of how many greats have touched Ring of Honor's canvas, I could literally fill up the rest of however long we're supposed to be doing this. So it really sent shockwaves to the wrestling community to hear that. I don't know anyone who wasn't devastated when you hear about an entire company having to, basically sound like they're closing the door. They're having to reevaluate things and figure out what's going on. I mention it all the time, though. I always say it, especially when we bring up Impact. And like I say it all the time. It was a few years ago. I thought Impact was done. Literally, just like, yeah, don't need to worry about Impact anymore. They'll be out of business before you know it. And that's still here. So they can come back. It can be a rebrand. Same thing with the NWA. When all that, when the speaking out thing happened with NWA's management or whatever, I was like, okay, well, NWA is irrelevant now. They're probably gonna have to, shake back. And here we go again now. As time has went on, they found a way to put on shows and get through. So it's possible Ring of Honor may not be completely gone, but this definitely sent shockwaves, and it's just like everyone is released. Like, what else can you say other than like the entire roster is free, and that may create exciting scenarios for some of these workers, but there's also a lot of people who just depended on Ring of Honor as a job and all of that in general. So my heart goes out to all those people who have to adjust and figure out things now. I couldn't believe it when I heard the news.
Well, this is the thing, and it reminds me a little bit of when WCW was bought by WWF, back in the day, and you had the influx of talent in WWF, and it seems the opposite has happened on the independent scene. When the amount of releases from WWE, over 100 talent, and now Ring of Honor happening here. Is there too much talent to go around? I know it sounds crazy. I mean, what are your thoughts, Jaxie? Is there, we talk about someone like Braun Strowman, who was WWE champion, who's not been picked up yet. Is there just too much talent and not enough companies showcasing? Because AEW can't sign everyone, can they?
I mean, you just hit the nail on the head there, really. I too agree with the statement of that right now there is a lot of free talent that deserve to actually be in most of these promotions. It's just not possible. And a lot of this can really be pointed back to the pandemic and everything that is with it, but a lot of it is to do with current companies as well, and that is the main one is WWE. With the amount of releases that they've been doing over the past year and a half, there's too much to catch up on. And so then you get this pipe bomb of a news comes from Ring of Honor. And yeah, we are now at a stage where even though we are very rich and lucky in content, in wrestling content, there's not enough promotions for the amount of talent that is going around. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think without a doubt, I think we've seen it as well where other talents you think, definitely get signed up. And it's even someone like Bray Wyatt where you think, he's definitely going to debut like, Dynamite or Impact, and now we're not sure. And then the latest...
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors when it comes to, even whether or not him and WWE are playing everyone. So who knows? We'll have to kind of see with that one. But I'm definitely intrigued to see where he'll go because, I mean, the likes of Bray Wyatt can't stay under the radar for long. There's too many promotions that definitely want to snap him up.
Well, we may see Silva's screen before we see him back in the wrestling ring, because apparently Coliseum Studios owners Jason Baker told Metro that he and Wyatt, real name of course Wyndham Rotunda, begin shooting in a feature film even in Tennessee later this month. He said he's a phenomenal collaborator, he became a really good friend, and you're the first person that we're probably telling about. We're starting to film at the end of the month. He describes the movie as Itchy the Killer meets Xanadu. And Rotunda was with Warner Brothers last month as well, which fueled speculation that he might not be wrestling return and might be going to Hollywood as well. Of course, his 90-day non-compete is up as well. Now, Gina, where would you want to see Bray Wyatt go? In a feature horror film with him, or back to maybe AEW or even WWE?
I mean, I don't want him to go back to WWE. My reasons for that, can I explain it, is just because I think Bray Wyatt has such a creative mind, and WWE just would not give that to him. They would not let him do the full works on what he would love to do. So I would love to see him go to a franchise that would let him have that, creative freedom, whether that be Impact or whether that be AEW. I preferably would like to say AEW just because of his link with Brody. and I just think he would fit in well with the franchise itself. But I also wouldn't be mad if he went elsewhere. It would just be nice to see him let his creative juices flow, you know. But I also think he would be really awesome in a horror movie because he has that creative side to him, and I would truly believe him as a villain. You know, making us all scream and get scared. I totally would love to see that too. Preferably AEW though.
We'll be interested to see what happens. And speaking of hobbies in wrestling, AAA Big Lucha event, which is scheduled to be held at a messed up fair in Mexico State on November 10th for Like a Psycho Clown, has been cancelled after local drug cartel La Familia hung up banners on overpasses announcing that urgent message: we inform all the artists who are going to perform fair not to perform at the venue to avoid the spilling of innocent blood, including theirs, due to the actions of that
This
bum.
is not funny. But,
The business punk Mario Garcia. They're prohibited from performing. Respect our organisation and we'll respect your lives. Monty, what the fuck is this?
What? Wait, can you explain?
I didn't even think this was
like,
real.
Serious? Like, I mean, sorry, go back. What? What?
Basically, a drug
That don't even
cartel.
sound real.
A drug cartel was threatened to spill innocent blood at a AAA show due to a promoter not giving the money.
Is this a movie? Bitch?
It sounds like a
It's
movie.
like a
trailer,
bad
for
movie,
sure.
like a horrible movie, like just a movie that just went off the rails. You know, it's like it is a such thing as like wrestling horror movies. That's what that sounded like.
I'm just asking, like, is that for real, or is that just like a rumor that's going through?
Look,
and realistically, like maybe half the wrestlers like just like have like
Goldberg was murdering people at Santa Claus once before. You see how what that story in that movie got a lot in common with what you just said. Like
a bus,
that
a
was
bus
crazy.
carrying members of the band La Addictiva who were set to perform at the fair was also attacked by gunfire on Friday, November 5th.
No,
As a result,
wait.
they have cancelled the whole fair. Apparently, yeah.
Sound like Grand Theft Auto, like a video. Sound like a video game.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what to tell you.
Crazy crazy
I
world of wrestling.
was saying, oh no, originally just because you mentioned AAA, and I was like, oh Lord, what a show that's gonna be, because you know it's always something absolutely insane on AAA shows. But when you explain all of that, I don't know what. I don't have anything else to say, man. That's just insane.
Yeah, I've got no words really on. Yeah, I have no words.
I mean, just let me know when the film trailer is out.
Well, good luck.
Wrestling ain't that important. It's not that important. Don't do that show.
Good luck.
Don't do that show.
FTR,
Okay? That's all I got.
FTR, who are going to be defending the title belts in Mexico. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Might have wanted to lose that match against Samurai Del Sol. Should have gave it up.
They shouldn't have won it off the Lucha Brothers. They should have said, back, take the belts back.
Oh, you can have it.
Well, oh no, I'm about to say no, but we'll move on from that anyway. And now for something completely different, because I want to talk about title belts. And I've been moaning about this for a very long time. Now, Monty, Jaxie, you probably know me a little bit more.
Oh, here we go.
Look, there's always things that annoy me.
Old man James.
No, I just look.
Get off my lawn. That's what you sound like right now.
Look, from a championship belt, I may be wrong, but the wrestlers are holding it the wrong way round, right? All I will say is that if you've got or book or as the kids won't know now, but like a DVD, and you're reading it, the letters are always, I don't know, facing right down, whereas like Kenny Omega, Roman Reigns always hold the W title belt the wrong way round. I never understood it.
I mean, I never really noticed this until you pointed it out, if I'm truly honest.
As shiny as that AEW belt is, that's what you notice? Like, they're trying to distract you with the shine. No one cares that it's upside down. That belt is beautiful, by the way.
Okay, what about you talk about title belts looking good?
Only you would notice these things. That's the problem.
TBS or Hose? Because I was speaking to Jaxie about TBS title.
I give you that one. That was fair, actually.
No, I don't know how you see that.
It says Hose.
I don't.
Only in his brain.
I know what you mean, but like, I just don't see it.
All I know is that please don't let Jade Cargill win because I'm tired of her saying the bitch show. Oh my God.
No,
I'm just sick of it.
I mean,
I'm just sick of it.
To be honest, I don't want her. Like, listen, right? I love what Jade is doing, but I specifically don't want her to be the first to win that belt, specifically because she wants to name it, like have that TBS stand for that. Like, no,
that bitch show. That does not roll off the tongue.
Let's not start the reign of that championship under the title and lineage of that bitch show. Listen, we don't need to go there. Let's actually try and like solidify this belt and not ruin it right off the back front. Yeah.
But
so let's calm down with that bitch show.
But if they've got the title the wrong way round, it's the SBT show. So, you know.
What would that stand for?
That's what I'm saying. It's just wrong way round. You'd be reading it incorrectly. So you need to hold the title belt the right way, or they'll think.
But
show bitches that.
Argument to have. There's an argument to be made. Sorry. If you want to talk about it realistically, whenever it's over the shoulder, it's always going to be the wrong way round because the belts are supposed to be horizontal, not vertical.
Oh my God!
If we're going to go deep with this belt talk here,
now I see why Naito threw his belt around like garbage. Like, oh my God, who cares?
But I'm just saying, like, if we're going to go belt talk here, and James really wants to go in on the way that they're being held, they're always being held the wrong way then. Because they're holding them vertical when they should be, and horizontal. So
The Rock was one of my favorite wrestlers, and he used to just carry it and just fling it around. So
but he held it the right way. He
Austin swing it around too. Really, you were the only one trying to read the belt. We knew what.
You know what the belt.
We know what it say. It got their name on it. It says World Wrestling Entertainment / Federation. Not the new belt. The new belt just got the stupid logo. Oh my God, I hate the way the belt look. Oh, it's so generic. Don't get me started on this, James. This is not a good conversation. All right?
I know what you've done, James. Look what you've done.
What I've
It's so many better belts in that WWE belt. Oh my God.
One of the things that made me laugh the other day was I was watching Raw. That wasn't it, but Riddle and Orton and the Velcro on their belt are stuck. So as they're trying to get the belts, it's like a war between the two of them.
Wait a minute, you watched Raw?
When did they put Velcro on belts? Was it just WWE? Because I couldn't believe it.
Wait, is that
another small detail?
I didn't even know that. Is it now? Wait, I knew didn't Daniel Bryan's eco-friendly belt?
I think it snapped, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
that one was Velcro.
They've got like a Velcro strip on the new belts, so you got where it should be attached with the buckles or whatever. Instead, it's just Velcro.
Oh, okay, so they are doing budget cuts. They even got they had to cheapen up the way they. There's more than one way to cut budget, you guys.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying they're not in NXT, but they've got Velcro in WWE, and I guess title belts. Yeah, so wind thing, with it can annoy some people. So
what about the spinner belt? The logo was always upside down and messed up. So yeah, you hated the spinner belt.
Everybody hated the spinner belt. Come on, that's not it.
Whoa, see, okay, that's how I know. Y'all were not around in 2004. That was hot for a couple months.
Listen, again, 2004 was, I think, pretty predominantly when
they kept that belt way too low.
No, I think that was when I stopped watching WWE. You know what I mean? So yeah, you got that right.
Oh my goodness, you missed John Cena whole life, the whole career.
No,
you couldn't see him anyway. It's fine.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was invisible. My fault. It's pointless. just watching one guy just wrestle to win for 20 years.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so the next one, my Dynamite and Rampage in a minute. Before that, this is the that I've had a few emails about that we've discussed before. Basically, with AEW, does funny equal money, or should the Elite be more serious? Now, Jaxie, I'll go with you first because I know you've been quite a fan, but aren't the Elite just the faces at this moment in time?
As in, do you honestly mean as in an actual face, or do you mean like as in like are they just the actual faces of the company?
As in they're trying to get over as the good, they should be the heels, and they're doing too much fun stuff rather than being serious with the AEW World title. As it's the main title, and comedy shouldn't be selling it.
I think that is definitely a difference of opinion on certain people. I think it could go either way because both sports and entertainment sell, and they sell to different audience members, different ranges. I think that with the way that everything has been done so far, I don't personally have an issue with the way that sort of the Elite have been having this sort of like a bit more of a comical side, especially because when if you're a fan and a veteran of AEW from the very beginning, you can see how serious the Elite can be. You can see how their seriousness can sell, and yet this is a whole nother side to them that we're getting 2 years later at this moment in time, where they are a lot more comical because they are a lot more arrogant, and they really shouldn't be, especially when you look at the Young Bucks and the excellent match, but still a loss that they took to the Lucha Brothers. So at this moment in time, I think it kind of fits the personality and it fits the narrative with the way that they're going about these things. Now, that being said, when it comes to the match tonight, and we'll get further more into detail when we start discussing tonight, I don't think that there should be much comedy that surrounds the main event of Full Gear. But with everything that they've been doing so far, especially with the sort of Halloween special dress ups that they did, I don't personally have an issue with it. It's really fun for me to be able to see these men be able to carry different personas and actually sell it. And I think, in my opinion, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So in my opinion, they have sold it.
Anybody want to disagree with Jaxie?
I would agree as well, because when the Inner Circle were kind of like the Elite, when they were heels, they also had some slight comedy factor to them, which I also enjoyed. And I will also say that when they can get serious at times, so even going back to the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks match, it obviously got quite serious, especially in terms of they shed blood, they put the pins on the trainers and were attacking the Lucha Brothers with that, and there was blood everywhere. So for me, that was more of a serious rather than comical match. So it's nice to see them kind of juggle it a bit. It would be nice to see them a bit more less comical when the storyline is getting a bit more heated, or the closer it's getting to the pay-per-view, the comic kind of tie down a little bit. So it would be nice to see a bit more of an equal balance, to see them be very serious during some parts and then comical again at the others. But all in all, I've still really enjoyed their heel turns since they've changed.
I think without doubt, I think just with the Ghostbusters outfit and stuff like that. I mean, Monty, what were your thoughts? Exactly the same?
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with too much that they're doing. I can understand that that can turn off certain audience, but I'm a goofy individual myself, so I'm laughing at stuff that's not even funny. Dominic got destroyed the other day on Raw, and I was chuckling the whole time Bobby Lashley was killing him and replacing him. Because as much as I like Dominic in the ring, he gets on my nerves as a character. He does some of the stupidest stuff I can think of sometimes. But anyway, that's a whole nother rant. I find things that's not supposed to be funny all the time. Roman Reigns is very, very disrespectful, and I find myself laughing all the time. I still think he gets the point across. Seth Rollins with this horrible bounce that he does every time he's dancing out with his entrance. he looks like an idiot most of the time just in what he's wearing, but also with the mannerisms and all of that, he looks insane. So it works both ways. It's hilarious too. Sami Zayn is another guy who's good at that, at coming off very insane, being annoying, but at the same time can crack you up if you listen to what he's saying. So a lot of wrestlers employ that today, and I can understand if that's too much for you. It all depends. Wrestling's supposed to be fun, so it all depends on what's fun about it. I enjoy the athletic aspect and the entertaining aspects that a lot of people try to throw into their wrestling. Some people prefer just the athletic part, or just the grappling, or some people are just there to look at their crushes or their fantasy men and women. I don't, you'll be surprised at what some people get out of wrestling, but it's supposed to be fun. So as long as you're having fun, you're not bothering nobody. Enjoy wrestling how it comes, in my opinion, because that's how I do it.
That I will say. Yeah, exactly. Amen. Right, so let's get on with it then. We've got Dynamite and Rampage. We've got two of them. So we're going to do them now with Masturbate in the middle. So we start Dynamite November 3rd. Of course, we get the intro video, and the first match is Alan Angels versus Kenny Omega. And Omega regained the upper hand in this match, but an arrogant pin attempt had announced his question if it proved costly. It didn't. The champion uncalled multiple V-triggers and scored the pinfall victory. And after the match, Omega cut a brief promo claiming he can Angel's career, just like he gave it to him by the way of the match in April 2020. Before he could deliver a one-winged angel onto the chair, Hangman Page made a save, now only missing a buckshot lariat as Omega escaped to the sanctuary on the floor. Jaxie, what do you think of this opener?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to give Alan Angels credit where it's due. He was like a little yo-yo, just get up and down, just trying to kind of match Kenny Omega's sort of like speed, because Kenny is quite a fast wrestler in the ring, and he had some great spots. He had some great moments. You've got to give him credit where it's due. I thought it was a great opening match.
I think without doubt we get Malachi Black giving a promo backstage where he asks why Power think decisions serve more than their own interest. Tony Khan barring him from ringside isn't going to change anything. And then back for commercial, we get CM Punk making his entrance, get the mic. First, he addressed John Moxley, who will be entering an inpatient alcohol treatment program, as announced by Tony Khan. I've shown respect to the former world champ. He implored anyone who needs help to reach out and ask for it. Then he turned his attention to Eddie Kingston, who interrupted an interview Punk was in the middle of conducting last week. Irritated, annoyed, and pissed off about it, he challenged Kingston to meet him one-on-one next week in St. Louis. Gina, what did you think of this?
I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. Is definitely something that I think a lot of fans will be looking forward to, and I can't really fault any of them. I think they're both great wrestlers, and they're both going to bring a great match to us, so it's definitely something to look forward to.
And I thought this CM Punk just telling everybody if they need help to get it, and of course, mentioning John Moxley as well, I thought was really nice touch.
Yeah, that was definitely a nice touch, and I like the fact that they always touch on it and raise it, whereas for other promotions, WWE, they don't like to touch on taboo subjects like that, and I don't know if it's
just supposed to act like it never happened.
But I think it just brings a more realistic approach to it, and it was really nice.
We'll be getting Mura promo saying he's facing Orange Cassidy. Backstage promo by the Super Clicks, Adam Cole and the Young Bucks turned into a wild, chaotic melee when Christian Cage, Luke Swords and Jungle Boy took the fight to the trio. Spinning the arena, it culminated with Cage delivering a concerto to Cole, leaving him writhing in pain to close out the brawl. This was pretty fun, Monty, with Cole getting his comeuppance a little bit.
Oh, it's about damn time. The Elite had been pretty much dominating this feud. That was the only little downside I kind of had into getting into this whole Super Click reunion versus Jurassic Express and Christian thing, because it just seemed like the Elite for a while there was getting the upper hand, other than like a segment where I think Jungle Boy got Brandon, which we know he's the jobber, he's the bump guy, so it doesn't really matter as much. But it was cool to finally see the babyfaces stand tall in the end. I was not expecting him to even actually get the concerto off, but it was a cool, nice little reference to Christian's past. It's nice, always cool with him and Edge, getting that little sadistic mode. So it worked out. I thought, like you said, this is very fun, and it was good to see the babyfaces finally get one over on the loudmouth, heels.
I think without a doubt, and after a quick break, Samuel Del Sol and Aerostar make their AEW debuts, challenging FTR, Hardwood and Cash Wheeler for the titles. Challenger scored a near fall stereo roll-ups, but moments later it was Wheeler who benefited from interference by Harwood and reversed the roll-up by Aerostar for the win. What were your thoughts on this, Jaxie? Because I thought it was good to see Kalisto. I guess for others in AEW, it wasn't.
I mean, I felt like the match itself was quite good, but I mean, what, do people have issues with having him there?
Well, no, Kalisto thanked memory of John Huber, but
don't get me
spelled John
started.
John, and then Chris Jericho and a few others came out to kind of have a go at Kalisto for spelling the name wrong.
Oh, ooh.
A typo. For a typo, Jaxie. A typo. On Twitter with no edit button.
Wow. Listen, we all know auto-predict can be a bitch, yeah? There's no need for that.
Exactly, you know, and John the H is the most popular version of that name, you know. So
exactly.
Like, it's an innocent, and then it's not like he said Johnny or Jimmy or like, you know, he changed the whole entire name. Like, God damn it.
Yeah, seriously, like they need to calm down a little bit.
But I really liked Aerostar because not only does he sound like a chocolate bar, but the mask was glowing. And I'm watching, I'm going, is that mask glowing?
Yeah.
I wasn't tripping out or anything like that.
It definitely looks like a little bit like a
Nah, you was on shrooms, bro. I didn't see it. No, just playing.
I think it was more like glittery, sparkling sequins or something.
He tried to kill himself a couple of times, which is always nice. Fun match, I suppose. Backstage, Tony Schiavone presents Sheeda with a trophy for 50 wins. Nyla rose up to congratulate and says she's hit a full-on roadblock. We see the Inner Circle make their entrance. Dan Lambert, the many year Junior Co. make their entrance. Another anger-filled rant from Lambert. Hager chose Dos Santos as the first opponent. Ortiz selected Arlovsky. And after a promo for Paige Van Sant, in which she declared a desire to be the fifth member, Jericho selected Lambert to join his guys in the match. Now, please tell me, Gina, that you are excited for this feud and match.
Oh, Lord.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I definitely am excited to see where it goes and how it plays out for sure. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I can't actually predict how it's going to go, but I'm definitely excited to see it.
Look, as long as Dan Lambert is going to get his ass kicked because of like he's got them. I can't even remember if this was me and you, sis, that were talking that had this discussion. But he's kind of like the Vicky Guerrero, or was it me and you, James?
It was me and you, yeah.
Thanks. The Vicky Guerrero, and I'm just getting actually to a point where every time I see a mic in his hand, I'm like, oh god, no.
I mean, I'm going to be very controversial here. I quite like Dan Lambert.
Of
I
course
like
you would.
that he winds people up.
Right, get out.
Out.
Go away, Heat.
I love the way he winds people up. I love seeing how angry people get, but that means that he's just doing his job and doing it well. And I am really excited to see how farther it goes. I do think that Dan Lambert will lose and his team will lose. But I'm still really excited to see it.
At least someone is. Will we please?
Yeah, because every time these segments kick off, oh my goodness, I hate them. I'm ready to skip them. I do not care about the MMA fighters trying to show that they can wrestle too. I could care less. I really do. I really can't. But I do have to give him credit.
I'm not on the side of the MMA fighters. I just like Dan Lambert.
Right, and I get that, and that's why I say I give him credit. He obviously enjoys pro wrestling. Either has studied up or he's a historian of it because he has figured out how to get heat and get whether it's go away heat, whether it's just the right heat that you need. He makes everywhere they go boo the mess out of American top teams. So he's doing great at that, and I got to give him credit. But I could care less where this goes. So I'm begging the elite. I mean, not the elite. See, I'm thinking ahead again. Not even giving them credit. I'm begging the Inner Circle to get this over with, please. Put them out of their misery.
Well, we see Tony Schiavone's backstage with Matt Sydal, Lee Moriarty, Dante Marti, and Leo Rush. So now congratulates Martin on beating him on Friday, but he wants to train with Leo, that's fine. But plenty more people will train at him, like Lee Moriarty. They challenge him to tag match and they accept. Then we get Anna Jay versus Jamie Hayter for the AEW Hose Championship Tournament first round match. Sensitive things were getting away from the associate. Rebel distract the official with Baker struck Jay from behind. Hater delivered a short lariat for the win before joining her fellow Hills in a beatdown of Jay. Tay Conti made a save, unloaded on the Hills before hammering away at Baker. Thunder Rosa made a save low, chasing off the Hills to close out the segment. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this?
I love Thunder Rosa. I love seeing her come out to make the save. I think, you can just hear how wild she gets the crowd popping as well. For me, this championship and this tournament, it's been really great to showcase all of these different women. But what it's done is solidify that I just really want Thunder Rosa to win that title.
Yeah. I think we all want that. we all.
Yeah.
It's what we deserve.
We give it to us, please.
We get Jay Cargill and Smart Mark Sterling cut the promo, and they're going to rename the TBS Championship That Bitch Show. That's a great idea.
No.
I don't think.
Thanks a lot, James.
That's all right, bud. Then we see someone who's more annoying than me, MJF, making his presence felt and making his way to the ring to address Darby Allin, who'd been perched in the audience throughout the night. His promo asserted that he and Allin are pillars, just two totally different people, reminding fans that yet to be beat in the middle of the ring. They claimed he could beat Allin with a headlock. Takeover, Allin vowed to beat MJF in a wrestling match at Full Gear and came through the audience to attack his foe. Sting fended off Sean Spears, both of which were involved in a segment around with MJF in the crowd. The scarf-wearing heel bowed out and headed through the crowd to avoid further pain and punishment, talking trash with Allin on his way out. Monty, what are your thoughts on MJF and Darby Allin feud?
Yeah, man, I really like what they've done. I don't really think they've had to do a lot to build this up, other than just give MJF a microphone and let him be as disrespectful as possible, do what he does best, get under the skin of his opponent. And Darby is not really a promo heavy guy anyway. He's a made man. Everyone loves Darby. They know what to expect from him when he's in the ring, that he doesn't really care about his body and definitely do not care about his opponent. So I expect them to do a really, really good job. And I think this can be a feud that's really just kicking off. Like, I don't think they've even gotten started with how good this can possibly be or where this can go. But either way it goes, I think MJF has done a great job, including this segment right here, and just really being a piece of crap. And just like I said, if there's anybody, I don't know anyone in AEW or almost anybody in wrestling who's as good as him at just making you want someone to not hit him in the face, not even win, because the end result, MJF rarely loses. A lot of people, I don't know if anybody really pay attention, but he's rarely lost in the AEW. Mm-hmm. But just the fact that someone gets a chance to get a little bit of a get back on him for some of the stuff that he's saying, the sleazeball tactics that he employs all around AEW. I really like everything that MJF does, and I think what they're doing with Darby can work. I think it may surprise surprise people. I don't know if it'll be the match of the night, but it has a chance to be really, really good.
Can I say something?
I think that these two I think that these two, Darby and MJF, really have the early makings of becoming like a feud that continuously sticks, kind of like the Rock and Stone Cold sort of feud, or that type of thing. That could be just continuously something that they can forever go back to, because they're both such great, strong characters. And like Monty said, they're only just, I feel like they're only just getting started with the heat that they both are bringing to one another. This could be something that they they eventually always end up coming back to one another and just squaring off. And I think it would just be continuously entertaining.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to say something, and I know I'm going to get shit for it, but I'm going
to... Oh, here we go.
No. I just personally, we talk MJF as a heel. I think The Miz is a better heel than MJF in every way, and doesn't have to resort to the cheap tactics that MJF does. I mean, if The Miz wants to talk about family members and stuff like that, he could, but he can do it a PG way and still get the fans to hate him and still work.
Didn't The Miz debut in 2004? He's supposed to be better than him, Jay. He's been wrestling for 17, 18 years. MJF has only been doing this in the past 7, I guess. I don't know when he started really, but he's really just getting started. That's what makes MJF so good, is that he can be this compelling, this young. So comparing him to somebody like The Miz, who's older and established, I'm not saying you're wrong, because I don't disagree. I think the Miz can do a lot. I just think he hasn't been given a lot to do that's been important from WWE a lot of the time.
He's not had that long to be able to probably get to a point where he would be on someone like the Miz's level. Like the Miz has had a lot more experience than him, so yeah, maybe it is all down to experience. I still think that MJF is still trying to find his footing, but he's going the right way about it.
Because it's not cheap, that's my problem with MJF, is that anybody can say something cheap and get a reaction. It's that level of consistency as well that we see from him.
But he has no other redeeming qualities. That's a true villain.
Like Dan Lambert and John, whatever his name is, that they both employ these cheap tactics too, and it works, So I think MJF is doing a much better job than those two, because he also is a wrestler as well. So let's give him some time. Let's not judge just yet.
Well, a better heel than MJW is in action next, because it is Cody Rhodes in action against Andrade Il Idolo. When it appeared as though Andrade's associate Jose would get involved, Arn Anderson came out and just shot everybody at ringside. No, he didn't. Rhodes attempted a tope suicida, flew straight into a shot to the face by FDR, who had hidden under the ring. El Idolo finished Cody with a hammerlock DDT for the win. After the match, the announcer reminded us of the business relationship between Andrade and the Pinnacle. The Hills attempted to beat Rhodes down until Lucha Bros made a save. The Kid at the Hills and stood tall to close out the segment. Gina, what do you think of this?
I mean, I really, again, enjoyed this. I don't understand why everybody keeps booing Cody, but I'm also on the front of, I love Andrade, and even though he's meant to be a heel, I do love him over Cody, but not for the same reasons that everybody else is probably hating on Cody for. I just love Andrade, and I love the fact that he's come to AEW and he's being, put in matches, given the time to show us how he is as a wrestler. Again, for me, when he was in WWE, he was only given 3-minute matches here or there, or, I just don't like how they didn't let him show off how good he is in the ring. And I've just loved seeing that. So to be honest, I think anyone who would have been pitted against him would more be seen as a heel in my eyes, because I'm just more rooting for Andrade all the time. So I am looking forward to the match, especially I did not see the sort of friendship growing between Malachi Black and Andrade. I didn't see that those two were going to be paired together and work together. So I'm really, really happy with that. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how much farther this goes, because I have a feeling it's going to carry on past Full Gear.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there. But we go to commercial. When we're back, John Silva is interviewed by Tony Schiavone. And of course, Tony wants some Cole's ass. Silva cracks about him shaving his head and changes his name, managing the dark corner, saying he's going to get Meat Man on Friday and kick some budge ass. There's just something so inherently likeable about Joey Hungry. We see Brian Danielson join the commentary team in the main event, Miro versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW World Championship #1 Contenders Tournament. We get a red-hot comeback after including a tornado DDT, the dive that sent Miro crashing through the timekeeper's table, a beach break out of Summer, and Cassidy's fated attempt at the orange punch led Miro, turned him inside out and applying a game over for the submission victory. After the match, Danielson made his way to the ring, coming face to face with the Redeemer, of course adding hype. Miro refused a handshake as the show headed off the air. Jaxie, what do you think of the main event?
I mean, it was just great. I mean, watching these two, it was really good. I mean, realistically, we saw the ribs of Orange Cassidy. Even without seeing the ribs of Orange Cassidy, I would have thought Miro was going to win this. Like the way that AEW have been booking him is the right way right now. But he needed to be in this competition, and I think he just did an excellent job at showing his level of desperation, especially when you look at his promos as well, as to how much he wants this opportunity. And if anything, it's just kind of made me excited to continue watching how this tournament plays out.
And I think, you know, I don't usually go against God most of the times, but if there was a fight between him and Miro, I probably would back Miro at this moment in time, you know, because it's just so great what he's given us. And another great Dynamite. Now we move to Rampage, November 5th. The show kicks off with Bryan Danielson versus Anthony Bowens in a singles match. This is Tony Khan's claimed after they call Khan a bad boss. Max Case with an indirect reference to John Laurinaitis in WWE releases during his entrance rap. And then we see Danielson beating Bowens. The finish came when the American Dragon locked Bowens in the bell lock and got the tap out victory. Monty, what were your thoughts on the rap and the match?
My thoughts on the rap. Max Caster's raps are, usually hit or miss, I guess, for me.
John Cena.
Sometimes, obviously a gimmick infringement. Yeah, obviously that. But I don't I'm over that. You know what I mean? If you can, at this point, at least he can do it. So I don't mind it. You know, if you want to talk about cheap, some of the stuff he get away with can be pretty cheap. But the match itself, I really liked. I thought Anthony Bowens got a chance to show. He's been getting a couple of chances as of late to show what he can do in a singles capacity. And sometimes when people are in tag teams, you don't necessarily always get a chance to see all they can do, how well they can handle themselves in a match. And just putting them in the ring with somebody like Bryan Danielson and him being able to not look out of place, I think that just shows you the level of even someone who's in a tag team who's not at the top of the card every time. So, AEW has talent everywhere, and I think this match is another good showcase in that as far as the match goes. But the rap itself, whatever. Like I said, this probably was a so-so one. I thought the Laurinaitis reference was cool, but it goes over your head if you did not care about Total Bellas like I didn't. So, yeah, because I didn't even know at first. I forgot that the Bella's mom and Laurinaitis had a thing. I forgot all about that. I don't care about Laurinaitis. When I think about him, I think about people power, and that's PTSD. So,
well,
just leaving that alone.
We need to series binge Total Divas and Total Bellas. I think.
No.
I mean, what a joyous weekend that would be. CM Punk is in the ring for the face-to-face with Eddie Kingston next. He calls Kingston out. Punk explains he wants an apology. Kingston apologises for being home sick, thinking he had COVID. He apologised for robbing the world of CM Punk versus Orange Cassidy. He plays the world's smallest violin for Punk. He says Punk used to be a hero of his alongside Joe, Amazing Red and Homicide. They inspired him, but Punk turned into a low-life bitch. He said Punk turned into a shithead over the years. Don't hold back, Eddie. Tell us how you feel. We see them basically, no one in the AEW locker room wants Punk there, but they're afraid to say it. Kingston challenges Punk to a match at Full Gear. Punk accepts, said it would be more appropriate maybe for Elevation or Dark for Eddie. And he appeals to the crowd and accepts the challenge at Full Gear. Kingston said he doesn't care about winning. He just wants to beat Punk up and quit again and go home for 7 years. They come to blows after that line, have to be separated by a ton of people. Jaxie, what do you think of this interaction between Eddie and Punk?
Okay, it was just brilliant. I really enjoyed this. Some of the jabs that were happening, I was just like getting a lot even more lit for wanting to see these two square off against one another. And, the main thing that came out of this is that CM Punk headbutted Eddie Kingston. And it was like the greatest thing ever. All I got was, it was a real anime moment, because when you are an anime watcher as well, there's always an iconic moment when the main character gets a headbutt in, and it's always going to be a headbutt that counts. And you just saw their carnage was setting off. The minute CM Punk initiated that headbutt, that was it. All hell broke loose. And I'm just so excited to see these two. I love the build up. I think they both were going for it, and it just felt real. It felt raw. Eddie doesn't believe that this is all fake. He actually is 100% invested in this. I can't wait to see them let loose.
I think
Agreed.
Without doubt, it's going to be excellent. We'll run through the card in a little bit as well. In the backstage interview, Christian Cage and Jurassic Express issue a challenge to Adam Cole and the Young Bucks for a Falls Count Anywhere match. We get Red Velvet defeating the Bunny in the final first round match of the TBS Championship. Finish came with Velvet now the Bunny with a final slice. Really quick match. The Bunny's been wrestling for 16 years. that after every match she has. That's it. You talk about the Miz having experience. She's got 16 years experience, the bunny. Mark Kennedy interviews Adam Cole and John Silva ahead of the main event matchup. Silva, then we start the main event match, which calls Adam Cole versus John Silva. Silva begins by mocking Cole's obsession with raising his arms in the air and saying his own name. And late, the young bucks are chased away by the Dark Order. Silva blocks a low blow from Cole when the ref's back is turned, but he can't put Cole away. Silva counts Panama Sunrise, but runs into a super kick, and Cole hits him with the boom. It'll always be the last shot to me to win the match. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
I mean, again, another great match. I definitely think that Silva is so good, and he's always so entertaining to watch. Cole he's just, even though he's still sort of a new entry into AEW, it just feels like he's been there for ages. And the way they both worked with each other was great. I think they helped to hype all of the matches that are upcoming for this pay-per-view. With the involvement, I definitely think that they worked very well together, and I actually would be happy to see another match between the two. And I will go back quickly just to mention, I didn't realize the bunny hadn't wrestled for that many years, and fair play to her, because she's actually really good. And I think if the following match wasn't going to be against Jade, I would have wanted the bunny to win that match. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly touch on that as well.
The bunny show sounds much better, by the way. The bunny show. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it does. Actually, the bunny show. I will take that.
We're getting into weird. If I saw the bunny show, I think, hope that's a magic act. Right.
Imagine Bray Wyatt popping up with his bunny then, and they can make a nice little crossover.
Rambling Rabbit, Bugs Bunny, Bad Bunny.
Battle of the Bunnies. That'd be brilliant. Right.
Oh, gosh.
We'll take a break from Dynamite and Rampage. Of course, we've got more episode of each. But at this moment in time, we are going to stop for a very popular segment in the show. And, of course, it is mass debate. Now, sometimes, you just want to take a break and mass debate, and that's fine. And we've been doing this a live show for a very long time. Now, Gina, you might know the concept, you might not. So basically, we're going to change it up a little bit now because we've got 2 semi-finals. So we're going to have a subject for each, and then the losers will face off in a third-place playoff round. Yes, much like the World Cup.
Wow.
And then the final...
Battling for third place.
The final will be between... The whole subjects is AEW versus WWE. Right? So this is what we're going to do. And just to change it up, because I'm sure Jaxie and Gina, you get on like a house on fire. But you two will be facing off in the semi-final.
Of course.
I had to do it. So what we'll do, me and Monty myself, we'll go first in this mass debate. And basically, it's a subject, and we have to fight the corner for it. And then it'll be down to Gina and Jaxie at this point to say who won between me and Monty. I'm not saying the last time we did it turned into a shouting match, so we might have to be a little bit more controlled. But we've got subjects, and Monty, this is
He's just saying that because he lost.
Look, all right, motherfucker. What do you want?
See how fast? See how fast he flipped?
You want to go? No, right, I'm fine. Right.
This is really on the defense here.
So, seeing as Monty, you're an AEW fan, you do AEW, I'll go WWE then.
Yeah.
All right, and then Jaxie and Gina, obviously, I think Jaxie might have to go with WWE.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite easy, and I think I will win this one. The first semi-final, Monty, the 2 subject, well, it's quite easy. It's Britt Baker or Becky Lynch. Now, yeah, you have Britt Baker, Monty, so I'll let you start off with your argument, and then when you're ready to lose, I will begin.
Okay, so I guess we're just going at. I guess the debate is who's the better champion. Who do you prefer? I guess. So let's just go ahead and get it out the way. Promos hands down, one of the some of the strongest promos on a week-to-week basis. Britt Baker has it. Catchphrase saves her every time, no matter what's going on. So it works everywhere she goes. She's bound to get the DMD love. Her matches, I actually believe, by the way, she's making a pretty big name for herself in street fight culture. I guess WWE have street fights or Extreme Rules matches. I guess other than that weird Extreme Rules they had this year, I don't understand that one. No Extreme Rules matches except like one. Didn't get it. But anyway, besides that,
hey, well, just stick to your lane. Stick to your lane.
Oh no, I'm just planting seeds. I'm letting everybody know that it's dysfunction on that side. Anyway, the point I'm making is that the matches with Abaddon, of course, the classic street fight, not lights out, just brawl. Come on, Thunder Rosa. I'll say it this way: Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker's what they could possibly do in a feud together, and what can be done if it's done right at the right time. I believe that can be a bigger feud than anything that Becky has going on with anyone on Raw currently. We've seen her with Bianca, who's probably the most over on Raw, and that's pretty much already over. They probably can come back to it, and I'm pretty sure everyone will love it. But can you compare anything that Becky could possibly do with the Liv Morgan or anybody else on the Raw roster to what Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa are capable of doing together? We've seen what they can do just with that stipulation. But if you give them the time, if you give them a story, they can make magic again. And Britt Baker, honestly, she really hasn't even gotten a chance to flesh out her, contenders like who she's fighting against. I would love to see her against Big Swole and other women on that roster who she could have great matches with in possible programs. Give it time, but I'm telling you, Britt Baker is definitely can make a case to be the number one woman in the world just from not only her recent resume, but what she has done and what she's capable of doing in the future. With AEW's direction, giving her more leeway to do that, more freedom. So that's my argument for Britt.
How many AEW pay-per-views has Britt Baker headlined?
It's only 4 a year, first of all. So I don't understand why you're trying to compare something. When one company does one every month and the other company does 4 a year, that number is always going to be inflated. So what about in the last year? How many has Becky done in the last year?
So if we say then just the top four then WWE the events, the top four matter would be Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, of course. Yeah, it looks like, I think at the biggest of the big four events, the WrestleMania would obviously be the biggest show, not only in WWE, but in professional wrestling.
What does this have to do with the man?
I'm saying, well, who was the first woman to main event it?
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte.
And who's
someone else. I can't recall.
Yeah.
So I don't
Someone
know.
else wins.
Her shoulder was up, so technically she didn't win. That match still going right now as we speak. That white shoulder was up.
Becky Lynch got more popularity and more love from not being at a Survivor Series 3 years ago than actually participating in it. That pose with a bloody nose in the crowd is iconic and started off a whole women's evolution.
Ooh, which one's more iconic? Britt Baker's bloody face?
Of course,
I don't know, man. Which one's more iconic?
Lynch's was more iconic in that moment in time.
One of them was a botch. One of them was in the middle of a great match.
But she doesn't. But Lynch didn't need to have a match to become that popular. The whole man gimmick was outselling. She was the most popular talent on the whole roster, not just in the women's division, but overall. This is a woman.
You can thank Nia Jax for that.
This is a woman who's held the title since WrestleMania 35. Every time she's been an active roster member, she's held a championship. They've brought her back. She's the most popular.
Man, you sound very recent right now.
In the past 5 years, even the heel turn, evolution, WWE has the women's only pay-per-view, and the match I remember the most is Becky Lynch versus Charlotte in the Falls Count Anywhere No Disqualification
Hell,
match.
what do you want from me? You want me to go back to an Impact Supercard that Britt Baker was on for 6 years ago? AEW's only been around 2 years, James.
Don't get me wrong. And the 2 years, Baker was looking at people like Becky Lynch saying, how can I become them here? Because obviously they're too big a star in WWE, and if now I'd get lost in the shuffle, whereas maybe I've become a level. She will never become a level of Becky Lynch in AEW, but I mean, Britt, like I said, is an excellent talent. But when you compare the two, it's like it's not even apples and oranges. You know, you're talking about an F1 car compared to some kind of banger that gets you around the estate. Don't worry, level of consistency and the DMD, but there's another 3-letter word that's much more important. That's man, and Becky Lynch is the man of the women's division.
Sounded very chauvinistic there, my boy.
Just like, right. Monty, is there anything else you want to add to your argument? Because I'm pretty happy with mine.
I think you feel like you made a very strong argument. Everything I just mentioned, Britt Baker does that while also seeing people as a legit dentist. So there you go. That just simple as that. How many of you? Come on.
The moment Bianca Belair beats Becky Lynch for that Women's Championship will be a moment we remember in WWE history, and that's what they're building up towards as well. So it's Lynch building people up, and also, who's saying she won't main event another WrestleMania if someone like Ronda Rousey was to return? Rousey and Lynch is another WrestleMania main event.
Padding your argument with ifs. I'm giving you facts, guys. I'm giving you facts. That's all I gotta say.
Right,
Jaxie, he's going off the past. He's going off time when AEW didn't even exist.
If we go about the future, Lynch has come back and delivered more bangers in the past month and a half than anybody has in recent times. You think about matches with Charlotte, the match with Charlotte she's going to have at Survivor Series, the couple of bangers she's had with Belair.
Hold up, that match hasn't happened. It could be a cluster. How you going to put that match in there and it hasn't even happened yet? What if it's bad? You don't know.
Lynch has had better matches over her career than Britt Baker's had. Lynch on her worst day isn't Britt on her best day. Oh, my
goodness. See, you love doing this. This is what you proved it earlier with your Miz versus MJF stuff. Like, what? They were just celebrating the anniversary of Becky Lynch for I don't know how long, almost 20 years or something like that of wrestling. And besides that, not even to talk about how long she's been doing it, you consider all I can pull from is literally the last 2 years. And you're mentioning the heel turn and all of this stuff, pre-2019 stuff and all that. Whatever. You can stick to that if that's the best argument you can make whatsoever. But I'm trying to tell you guys, Britt Baker is obviously the future and has a chance to be the biggest female star in this business, especially as the face of the women's division.
Ifs and buts. Oh yeah, if she might be the best woman, she might get an injury in a match tonight and not be able to wrestle again. But hey, ifs and buts.
Now you wishing injuries to make your point stronger. Now you wishing injuries on people to make your point stronger.
Lynch got injured. Who sounds desperate in the women's division? Lynch was still injured and still the biggest star. That's how huge she is.
How many times Becky Lynch pulled out thumbtacks? Want to get down to the details? One woman is way tougher than the other, okay?
Right. All right, so Jaxie, you first. Who are you going for in this one?
I think you both made valid points.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Oh God! Listen, right. I'm good. Right, I might actually make an unpopular opinion here, but the thing is, it's a reflection from an outside point of view, and that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to actually side with James on this one in terms of the argument that was made. However, the only reason why he gets this win is because Becky has a lot more years on Britt Baker, so there's not as much of a detailed.
It's a resume, man.
That being said, I believe that the likes of Britt Baker could surpass that of Becky Lynch. But for the sake of this argument, I think James won.
This was rigged.
Gina, do you agree?
Sorry, I disagree.
There you go.
I think
I knew I liked Gina better. See, I knew it.
And this is nothing to do with my preference on AEW or WWE. If you
So
ask me whose promos I would prefer to watch, Britt, hands down. I'm really sorry, Becky, but you cannot cut a promo. I just feel so equal. No,
Spit. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I'm sorry.
So it comes down to
whenever
this.
she goes through a promo, I feel like she's just over because of how hyped WWE have put her through. Even the whole bringing her back, I think they brought her back just because of ratings rather than she was ready to come back. They brought her back just because of the ratings and just because CM Punk had debuted and they wanted some show factor for them. So they brought Becky back just for that, squashing the great build-up that they have done for Bianca in 3 minutes. Like this massive build-up.
You better tell her.
They just let Becky just do one move, and apparently all of that work that Bianca has done was for now because Becky's back, so just give it to her. So for me,
just move aside.
Becky can't hold a promo. I think she needs to work better on that. She is great in terms of entertainment when she's wrestling with the whole bloody nose. Again, that was a fluke though. She's lucky that she got her nose broke because that wasn't planned, and that turned into being one of the biggest things. And great on her, but it was a fluke. It wasn't even planned, so she's lucky that happened to her. So for me, I feel like Becky is lucked into quite a lot of why she's so hyped now. So I'm gonna go with Monty.
Let's go.
All right, Monty.
She made a very good point there. She did.
Even swinging Jackson. Hold on.
No, Monty.
Can she change her feet? No, just playing.
No, one of us will have to concede the other. And as you know me, you know I won that argument, so I don't mind you conceding now.
Oh yeah, if you, of course you don't mind me conceding. That don't mean I will concede.
I feel like this is going to be one of those things where we're going to have to agree to disagree on where the status lies with it.
We're completely 50-50, sir.
I think you're fine. You know,
I actually blame my sister. I feel like she just really purposely wanted to go against me.
Yes,
First
of
of all,
course. You bias, Monty. Do not see this AEW bias. No Lynch
let
is
me
bigger
tell
than
you
Baker.
this. You had me defending Vince McMahon to the point that I'm sure people thought I just was an idiot out here. Like I'm just defending
you
Vince.
Struggled with that.
And now right, I'm up here. I gave the greatest argument I could for Vince.
You try, yeah, you did try.
And now you think I'm just gonna stop here? I didn't believe half the stuff I said about Vince, and I still posed that argument. So I'm not giving up here, James. We gonna sit here and this mass debate will go forever. You ever had one of them lengthy ones where you get sore?
You still have the third place playoff, so you still have another mass debate, even if you concede this one to win.
Oh, now you're trying to sweeten the pie. You got all that same stuff too. Why you not conceding, James?
Because my argument for the final one is fucking awesome.
Oh my God! Look, see,
no, it's not.
You
wrote your catchphrase out, right? You got this. I'm coming up with this on the. I just thought about that. I deserve extra bonus point because I'm coming up with this on the fly. He writing little notes, got his catchphrase wrote out. I'm pulling everything from my brain. Y'all heard that? It's a 3-letter word more important than DMD. Oh man, you know he planned that out. Come on, that wasn't off the top of his head. I'm not conceding. I just thought about it. We'll be here forever, James. You might as well just let them go, and maybe I'll consider conceding while they're going.
Right. Okay. Well, what consider conceding? We will
consider it all night.
The next semi-final, which I'm sure is going to be a lot easier. So it's Gina versus Jaxie. Yes, it is sister versus sister, and the subject, like we said, WWE versus AEW, is quite a simple one. It's Kenny Omega versus Roman Reigns.
Oh, wow.
This is going to be difficult, actually.
This is going to actually be a difficult one, especially because, you know what, before we even get started into this argument, can I just give you a few fun facts?
Why you give me that one?
Let me just give you a few fun facts. First of all, you've got me, myself, Jaxie, who is going to be vouching for WWE side and Roman Reigns. And then you have in the corner, my 7 minutes younger twin sister, who is going to be vouching for AEW Kenny Omega. Now, before we even get into this, I just want to point out that the one person that my sister still continues to love, even though she's dropped really watching a lot of WWE content, is Roman Reigns. And I'll have you know that Kenny Omega and me have the biggest thing in common, which is our love for Final Fantasy VII and the one-winged angel himself, Sephiroth. And so now you've got us both pitting off against each other's
let's go,
men.
Cloud.
That was cruel, James. That was cruel.
Yeah,
You actually knew all of this. You did that on purpose.
Let's go, Cloud. Let's go, Cloud.
Can I just say, I love the fact you mentioned that 7 minutes younger. So she's still
7 minutes.
That's what matters.
Right.
Listen,
I noticed that too.
listen. I make sure this bitch knows that she's 7 minutes younger practically every single day.
Make
Okay,
everybody
she needs to
aware of
remember. She needs to remember and know her place. So let's see how this
Whoa,
goes.
whoa, everybody chill, everybody calm.
No, I let her have her say because the best is left until last. So I would just take my time and chilling.
Yeah. All right. Well, considering like my sister is quite new to this, I think I shall let her go first.
Me go first.
So why
Well,
Kenny
I-
Omega is better than Roman Reigns, and don't cheat like Monty.
Kenny Omega is just an amazing person. Whether he's heel, whether he's face, he makes any character work that he's going with. He has the experience of working with other promotions as well, like New Japan and other ones. So he's bringing all of that experience from these different platforms to his characters as well. And he always follows through on everything that he says and that he's going to do. He follows through on it. So one thing I'll say about Kenny is he's consistent. He's great on his promos as well. I've never kind of heard a bad promo from Kenny Omega. And no offense to Roman Reigns, because I do love him a lot. It took him a while to get to that stage with promos. It took him a good while. Whereas Kenny, he just has that, aroma about him. You're already blown away just by his first sentence. So Kenny, in terms of wrestling, he never ceases to amaze me with his wrestling moves. He's always pulling something new out. It never seems kind of repetitive. Roman, again, took a while to get to that point. So for me, Roman's a bit of a slow burner. Kenny just has it already. He's just a star already. And Roman needed a few helping hands to get there, and in my eyes, I think Kenny would surpass Roman. Maybe if Roman had a few extra years behind him, he might be on par. But at this moment in time, unless somebody else is helping him get there, he's not going to get to Kenny's level.
Wow. That was pretty hard to that's pretty hard to follow. Okay, listen. Right. It's hard to be born into a family of greatness. Yeah. I'm just going to start with that.
That is true.
Roman had the impossible task of winning over the WWE Universe, knowing of his relation to his cousin, knowing that the likes of Mr. One, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, is always going to capitalize over blood fame. And I mean, kind of like because of his connection with The Rock. And he'll always go ahead and he will push the bigger men. Now, Roman was the perfect sort of character and persona to start building the WWE empire around. When you look back at the sort of Rock's tenure, how sort of he built up and how much he skyrocketed, the likes to be said from the look of Roman Reigns alone. Now, that being said, was he pushed a little bit too soon before he was promotion ready, before he was wrestler ready? Yeah, probably. But he did what he did and he handled his business. And now look at him sitting at the head of the table as the tribal chief, running things. And this man not only managed to successfully get this to this point and get a load of people who were extremely against him now actually all loving him, but he did that whilst also battling a health condition on himself, and he came back and he's never looked better since. I think he's done a lot of redeeming himself when it comes to some of the dead promotions that WWE forced him to do at certain points. And I believe that he really has solidified the career and made the career that he needs to in order to skyrocket. So there's my argument.
Yeah, but the difference between Kenny and Roman is Don Callis is 100% committed to being with Kenny, whereas Roman has to constantly scare his little enforcer, Paul Heyman, into remaining on his side. Kenny has loyal
okay,
subjects.
but like if you're gonna go ahead and if we're gonna go ahead and talk about lackeys now, like no offense, but like Roman Reigns has got that fear factor down. He is
Roman bullied his cousins into making sure they were on his side.
Okay, let's not go into the twin talk because of that. Like, if we're gonna go and talk about the Usos, like, I'm gonna definitely lose this because you know how I feel about anyone trying to control us. So let's not go into the twin talk yet. But that being said, if
look at what you're doing to them, Jay.
Yes, look at you, Jay. If we're gonna talk about enforcers, Don Callis has not got much behind his back, but Roman Reigns has managed to instill fear into the one man that actually had the likes of Brock Lesnar in his corner. Do you know how much of a big deal that is? You know,
yeah,
he solidified himself to a point. No, listen, he solidified his own reign to a point where he made Brock Lesnar's little pack mule turn into his own pack mule. Okay, Don Callis got fired. Don Callis got fired from Impact and then came running to Kenny. That's it. End of.
Yeah, but at least he didn't come with an Impact wrestler's ringtone. I might want to tell Paul Heyman to change his ringtone from Brock Lesnar's because that ain't there.
Oh my God.
That is not fair when we all know that what Vince McMahon wants, Vince McMahon gets. So let's not go down that route, yeah? Because
we all
I
know
know Vince
about
McMahon is the one who, like,
everyone has a team.
Wow.
Let's right. We'll leave it there for a second. Right? No, we're chomping at the bit here, but we have got other ones. So, if my opinion on this, right, this is my opinion of who wins. Unlike Gina's with Monty's argument, I'm actually listening to his argument and not making up my own there, because her problem with Becky Lynch was obviously her problem. But again, I'm not talking about my masturbate.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying, she was making her own argument, Becky Lynch, that you didn't make for that. I mean, that is true. But anyway, but it is something Gina said about the Paul Heyman story, because for me that adds,
not earning points there, Jaxie.
That adds extra layer to Roman Reigns. So at this moment, I've got to side with Jaxie, because I think Gina even made a point.
As if it was ever in doubt.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. Monty, what are you thinking?
Bro, it didn't matter if Roman was still walking out with that damn vest on, you was going to pick Roman. Why are you acting like you actually listened and cared? You know, you biased, James. You know that. Don't even try to play me like you even considered Kenny. You know, come on. And this is my whole thing. A few years ago, this argument would be a joke. Kenny Omega was number one in pro wrestling, PWI's like wrestler. When he was in New Japan, he was the world champion. He was number one in the world. And Roman Reigns was nowhere near on his radar. So I have to give Roman's character work and everything they've done with him a lot of credit for people to even consider him where he's at now. No one will not include Roman in their top 5 probably wrestlers working right now. I don't think anybody who pays attention would not say that that's where Roman belongs. But I am always been invested in everything that Kenny Omega does. Gina, you're 100% right on the money when you speak about what he can do as a character. Babyface, heel, it doesn't matter, whatever you need him to do. When he was just in a tag team with Hangman, he had a match that people were saying was the greatest tag team match of all time. When now in his reign, a dominant reign at that. Yes, it's been a lot of shenanigans, but don't get me started on shenanigans with the Ray Roman has retained in most of his matches. And like Gina mentioned, repetitiveness. Come on, we all know how it's going to go down at the end of Roman's matches. At least Kenny provides us with enough nuance in his performances in the ring, in his character, with his character work. Sometimes Kenny's just going to go straight out there and wrestle, no shenanigans whatsoever, just like he did with Alan Angel. So it's not always the same type of thing. The only time Roman wrestles is pretty much at this point is pay-per-views. The match input is different, even though Kenny don't wrestle all the time anymore either. Not trying to go there or compare that, but I'm just trying to say that it's really a tough argument here. You can make a great argument on both sides, but I have to side with Gina's argument about Kenny based possibly, on not only with her argument, but what I feel. And you, James, don't say a thing to me because from the beginning you knew exactly where you were siding.
No, what
So
I
don't
would
wanna hear nothing you gotta
say,
say.
what I would say is one of these wrestlers just uses the same three moves, the same three moves used in every match.
What do you mean? You talking about the Superman punch, the spear, and what is even the third move?
I'm talking
Roman
about
used
Kenny.
two.
I'm taking about Kenny Omega, the
But
Snapdragon, the
Roman
V
uses two.
trigger,
At least
the
Kenny got
one-winged
more.
angel. Kenny's got the three moves he uses every match.
Oh my
Snapdragon,
God, Kenny used to do
V
Phoenix
trigger,
flashes.
one-winged
He
angel.
jumps
That's all
over
he's
the top
using.
rope.
That's all
He
he's
used to do the J driller. He got
Reigns,
plenty of moves.
during
Don't
the
get me started.
pandemic,
You
Reigns
can't
was
wrestle
bringing
an hour with
drama to
Okada
the
with
match.
two moves.
You
cannot
listen to
wrestle
AEW
an
apologists.
hour.
It's disgusting.
You cannot wrestle an hour with Okada with three moves. You cannot wrestle an hour with Okada with three moves. That's
Sleep
all I
and move
gotta
for
say.
20 minutes. I've seen it. It's boring.
I
The Okada
think
match
this
is overrated.
It got 6 stars.
We're talking about AEW. We're not talking about what he did in Japan.
Oh, okay.
You're
well,
making
all right.
again.
Okay.
You're adding an argument to
Kenny
what's
Omega
not
and
there.
John Moxley. Kenny Omega and Pac. Come on, man. He got don't try to act like Kenny hasn't been doing great. Even before he was world champion, he was having great matches in AEW. Come on now. You can admit your biases, James. Come on.
You're the one. You are the one that is biased. You're the one.
Come on.
You knew exactly. All right. So the question is.
I think we turned you guys into this argument instead.
Obviously, Gina has the most sense out of the two. No, I'm just playing.
I feel like this was definitely one we have to agree to disagree with again.
So Gina, are you going to concede to your sister?
You should.
Don't you dare.
I'm not conceding, no.
Yes.
You
You gotta fight for your right to party.
Right?
I don't think we're getting anywhere with this thing.
Come on, they sisters. You know they not budging. I can't believe you think they gonna quit. Come on, man. They're twins.
Well, I'm not backing down because I feel like my answer was right. Sis, you should really
Exactly.
Argument in a couple of years' time, then maybe you will be right, sis. But right now, I'm right.
Listen, we should just kind of agree to disagree. You should just concede again and like you always do to me.
I am not conceding here. I am not conceding.
I think since James started this, he should concede.
Why should I concede?
Just concede. You started all this mess.
So the thing is, Monty, we've got a problem. You need to change your mind then. Because if I concede, I'm third place, but you need to decide. You need to back Jaxie or I hope I change Gina. I'm going to go Jaxie with this one. So what are you going to do?
Hold on. Have you conceded yet? I can't agree until you
concede.
If
I concede, you're going to have to change though, aren't you?
I will if you can concede.
All right. I concede. I concede to you. Your Britt Baker is better than Becky Lynch. Go on. What are you saying then?
Oh, well, wait. If we're going to do that, then I'm going to actually choose to opt to concede only because I still have to agree with Gina's points, even though I was fighting in Roman's corner. Yeah.
So after that,
fine. I can. This is going to be
concede for no reason.
This is going to be the only time that I'm going to concede. So enjoy this victory, sister, because it's not.
I've got it recorded. I'm showing everyone.
All right. So the final.
I'm a genius. Just admit it.
Final is Monty. Gina, we'll get onto that in a minute. We're going to do third place playoff then, so it's me and Jaxie.
You don't sound excited about that at all.
The third place playoff. This is a good one. I'll go for WWE because I'm so biased, of course, in this argument. And it is New Day versus the Young Bucks. That is very, very simple. Jaxie, do you want to start with the Bucks? And then we can all argue for another 20 minutes.
Okay, I mean, so I'm just gonna point it out there first and foremost. When you fight in alongside your brother, you're that much in tandem with that person, and you're not even twins at this point. Then there's gonna be magic that comes out of it. the Young Bucks have proven consistently, and I can even actually vouch outside of AEW their work, at how in tune they both are with each other, how much they can trust one another, and how good a delivery every single match that they consistently bring to each match. Even when they lose, they manage to actually have the audience feel like that was their best match ever, and they continuously outdo themselves with each match they get. I'm not going to go into and break down why there is a strong argument to be made for the match of the year to go towards the Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks in that steel cage match, because that is something that, you know, AEW have been doing right, steel cage match, and it was incredible. The Young Bucks not only have the talent within the ring, they have the talent to be able to be you know, great promoters. They know how to talk on mic. They were the ones that also helped create this business. Not only that, but they've also done it all when it comes to even writing their own book and successfully, you know, catching on with when it comes to being authors and talking about their lives. They have probably influenced many more young boys and girls everywhere to chase their dreams and to follow their dreams, and that is something that you can proudly see from their promotional work to their ring work, in-ring work. They continuously show how much they care about the continuous growth of not only the business of AEW but the wrestlers themselves, but how much they are willing to put over their opponents in the ring and make them look good. They have that humility within them to laugh at themselves and to turn themselves into a joke and actually go fully through with it, and it works. Where they look silly, they're the idiots, and it still works. And yet their wrestling is never tampered with in terms of just because they're the comedians and because they take a few losses here and there. They can afford to take those losses because of how good they are in each and every match. That it doesn't really feel like a loss, because everyone comes away from their matches feeling more elevated, feeling more like a heavily adrenaline rush going through them, and feeling more excited that it continues to leave people coming back to watch more of them, coming back to be entertained more by them, and just coming back to see what they're going to do next. So there's my argument.
Do you know what? That is an excellent argument, and I just want to take everything that you said and just stress the New Day, because what you said about the Bucks is exactly the same with the New Day. With they can come out with the unicorns and the pancakes and still get that reaction from the crowd and be, you know, 11-time tag team championships. Every time they need a tag team there, that they can do that as well. And also, you know, we took up recently being drafted to SmackDown, now being the main event picture with Roman Reigns, of course, with Woods and Kofi Kingston. And we talk about great tag teams, and yes, there's very little separating the Bucks and the New Day, whether you consider Big E, Kofi, or Woods as part of the three there, which may be a bit unfair. But even if you take out Big E, you're still left with something that the Bucks never had and probably won't do in AEW. Now, you probably say the Bucks were going to be team probably forever. You know, it's different. Maybe they have single runs and stuff like this. The fact is, the New Day is more of a success the Bucks because it has brought out 2 WWE champions from the group. And even if you consider Kofi, that is 1 WWE champion. Look at Kofi Mania. What a moment and what an important part in time. You talk about young kids around the world seeing this moment and thinking, that is something that I can become thanks to Kofi Mania. And that's not the entertainment with Xavier Woods and everything they do outside of WWE. You talk about company men as well. Brock Lesnar beating Kofi Kingston in a matter of seconds is just due to Kofi just being a cool guy. Look what Bobby Lashley did to him recently as well. And the difference is the Bucks got signed by multi-millionaire to be put as the tag team in the company, and that was their role. The New Day were created and weren't liked. To think they started off being booed and turned it into the New Day themselves, in spite of the WWE booking, in spite of Vince McMahon, became the greatest tag team in WWE history, and that for me is why the New Day beat out the Bucks.
You've been waiting to say all of this. You already had all of this ready. Like, you were so excited to come back with that rebuttal. I don't really feel like I've got a comeback. Come back. I feel like maybe James just won.
It was so concise too, by the way. He was concise.
It really was like he was everything that he took. It was almost like he was anticipating I was going to say all of that about the Young Bucks, and then he just kind of scratched that all up into a ball and then just threw it back in my face.
And that's how you play the masturbate. That's
Well, I mean, you got me there.
I'm sure Gina's going to argue with me.
Here we go. What do you think, Monty? What do you think, Jay?
Oh well, you put me in a bind, bro. Oh, you picked Jackson, Jay?
No, I'm actually gonna go with James. I was gonna go with Jaxie, but the points James made, it is true. Yeah. 2 champions came out of that tag team, and as in WWE champions. And again, Kofi Mania was such a moment. It was even a moment for me, you know. Just feeling that and remembering that feeling still gives me goosebumps now. So I'm gonna have to go with James.
Yeah, I'm 100% biased because I think the New Day is the greatest faction in general ever. I'm one of those people who don't mind making that argument. I'll put them against anybody throughout history. I don't care about Evolution's mini world titles, any of that type of stuff. Just off impact and just what the New Day means to wrestling and what they've been able to do for how long with no turn, no turn in sight. Like I don't think they will probably retire as a collective. If they ever do turn on each other, the heartbreak will be tremendously felt throughout the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And I think they will avoid that at all costs. They still make so much money merch-wise. Like it's just so many great arguments you can make for
I think it would just be stupid to do that.
Yeah, I had an argument that I was going to make because I've been a fan of the Bucks even in PWG, even in the Impact days when they were pretty much unknown. I liked them in the ring when they had a chance, when they were Generation Me. Those days, oh my God, man, I feel old even thinking about it. But the Ring of Honor and the New Japan days, like, I can go into that and mention how great the Bucks have been across the board. So I can understand an argument, but the New Day. It's something you can't really fight against. That's why when you pose the question, I was like, that's a hard matchup. You know what I mean? Like, don't feel bad.
It's a hard argument to have, to be honest. If I could even go with anything, if I wasn't going against James, I would have probably chosen James as the winner because of like his argument. Right. So as much as I love the Young Bucks, again, like I truly believe that the New Day not only have brought a complete new audience to the likes of WWE to watch their content, but I also think that they have reached so many young boys and girls out there and proven to young boys and girls of color that anything is possible, and it's pretty hard to argue that case. So I think I'm going to go ahead and say James won here.
You won, James, but it had nothing to do with you, okay? All right.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just going to clip that bit, just listen to it over and over again.
On repeat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, James was right. All right, well, that's me. I finished third. Jaxie in, good fourth place. At least she beat the Ultimate one, I suppose.
Well.
So now it's final time. And there's 2 subjects we can pick up from. There's one from last time out we didn't finish, which of course is Tony Khan versus Man.
Oh Lord, no!
That is still on the table.
That kind of worms again.
Or as an overall, it's WWE versus AEW.
I think that doing WWE versus AEW is a much better idea than us opening that can of worms with Vince and Tony again, because I still think it's unfair. I feel like that's a whole Britt Baker Becky thing, like when Vince definitely is a veteran compared to Tony. So that's been there, done that. Let's move on and let's just do like the overall promotions against each other.
All right, so Monty, you will have WWE.
I'll change my cape. Yeah, I'll get on the WWE flag.
Gina,
I'll go to
have
Connecticut or New York.
You got wherever. North. Gina, you got AEW. Monty, I don't know. No, Gina, if you start first in this one, give Monty a chance to Google his answers.
I was going to say, let him find some reasons as to why WWE should win this one. That's fine.
In my eyes, I've got a great reason. I'll give it to it after the final, but of course it's between the two of you. So whenever you're ready, please,
So biased.
please.
So biased.
I mean, the main reason, the main thing I'm going to go in with AEW is look how far it has come in the small amount of time that it's been running, and look at the fan base that has grown around it in the short time that it's been going. AEW is not perfect. None of them are all perfect, but I'll say most of its storylines have always been consistent. There's not been anything random that's come about. They've always, if something did start off random, they've continued with the storyline. Whereas WWE, if they feel like it's not worked 1 week, they'll just drop it, and you won't even hear any outcome or sort of follow-on story, even from the commentator saying, yeah, well, this was squashed last week, so we'll end it. No, WWE just swipe it under the carpet like it never happened. Whereas AEW will still keep it going. So, for example, the whole botch with Eddie Kingston trying to save Jon Moxley, and he just ran with it, even though the whole explosion botched. They still ran with that story. They still went with it the week after as to why Eddie passed out, because he was just too much adrenaline of him thinking that it was going to go off. It just made him pass out. You know, they make light of it. They make fun of it, which is great. Whereas if that was WWE, they would just sweep it under the carpet and act like it didn't happen. And that's one thing as a fan really irritates me. Even if something happened really poorly, at least follow it through and say, yeah, this happened, didn't really work, but do you know what? This person's still going to run with it. We're still going to do this part of the story and just explain why that happened. So consistency is the biggest thing I will say. Is AEW will still roll with it and push for it. And again, I will just take hats off to them. It could have just been an epic fail when they opened the brand, and it's actually not. It's backfired, and it's become such a big promotion. They have random people on there like Orange Cassidy weighing whatever, who is from wherever, and he is one of the most favorite wrestlers on there. But then you also have silly characters like Happy Corbin, who just is not coming over in my eyes. It's just not working. It's not getting over. So for me, AEW, they do their wrestlers well, whereas WWE do their wrestlers dirty, and storyline consistency just doesn't work with them.
Consistency.
Monty,
You slick, bro. I must say, you slick, because you mentioned somebody like Happy Corbin. How the hell I'm gonna defend Happy Corbin? How can I defend what the hell they do with that gimmick? It's like they found out he was getting over when he was a bum, and they was like, oh no, let's get away from this, let's get away from that altogether. Let's make people hate to see him or hear his music. Anyway. Yeah. That's a whole nother rant. I'm as y'all can see, I'm rant ready when it comes to this stuff. WWE, you mentioned consistency, and it's funny you use that word because WWE has been consistent. Whether we like it or not, they still have always been consistent. Whether that means consistently unpredictable, whether it means consistently letting you down, right? Even if at the end of the day, they still been consistent. And on the other end, AEW has also been consistent. Like you said, they seem to treat their wrestlers well. Although I can make an argument that from the beginning, since its inception, since the beginning of AEW's time, they have dropped the ball completely with their focus on lady storylines. I don't even really want to compare the women's division when it comes to visibility and storylines and name value. And yeah, WWE is taking some shots and lost, but that, where the top tier women's wrestling is, and that's on WWE programming every week, whether you like everything they do with it or not. Also, superstars, some of the biggest names in this in this business. Yes, they've lost a lot, and they're trying to bet on the future. But when Roman Reigns come on your camera, you're gonna stop and watch. Whenever the tribal chief has something going on, you're gonna pay attention. Seth Rollins, you're gonna pay attention. Big E, like we mentioned, the New Day. You have legends on your screen like the New Day. Randy Orton, always compelling. Like they still have a chunk of talent that AJ Styles, like it's people that I'm not even mentioning, that they have that still represent the best wrestling in the world when it's done right. When WWE is done right, you have nights like WrestleMania. You have nights like this most recent SummerSlam. You know what I mean? WrestleMania, WWE, when they're on their best, they can. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like that experience. It's nothing that feels more important, top tier. And everything a lot of the things you like in AEW is just something. A lot of things that WWE may have gotten away from in the past. I'm not gonna say that everything AEW do is just a knockoff and they're not original, because they are. But at the same time, the standard bearer for what we know is professional wrestling, especially over here. I can't speak for how it is in London, but at the end of the day, WWE is the biggest in the world. We all know that. At the end of the day, every other promotion is still looking up at Titan Towers in WWE headquarters, because they are the main attraction when it comes to wrestling on this planet. And it's just hard for me to scoff at that when they have some of the brightest stars that possibly in the future can be great stars, like a Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. Like, they have that. You know what I mean? And they also have established legends that are still on their roster going strong for different reasons. So it's just, like I said, they're not perfect. You mentioned that. AEW hasn't been perfect. And many, like you said, lack of focus that time. Yeah, they've been consistent, but a lot of times they can be consistently confusing. A lot of times they throw random people into programs or into matches that seem like it could go somewhere, but then you come and find out, oh, this is just a glorified squash to advance something else. WWE, I can't defend everything they do, but when they are hitting on the money, you cannot tell me WWE still is not compelling, especially in recent. I can just bring up the Seth Rollins and Edge and Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, that current story. What possibly could be going on now with Big E and Roman Reigns going into Survivor Series. WWE is still where you go if you want that hot button soap opera like wrestling, and I still hold a value for that, even though I can understand how it is dissipated in popularity when it comes to that too. But I believe WWE is still the standard bearer, still number one, even though AEW has started off on the right track, but they still have a long way to go before they should be even mentioned in WWE's breath, in my opinion.
Well, you make a good argument there, Monty, but at the end of the day, then AEW is not repetitive like WWE, as in we won't get the same 3 matches between the same people just before a pay-per-view show, as in Edge versus Seth.
I cannot argue with rematch.
Seeing them having the same matches on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, whichever they want, they'll just do it week after week after week, and then we're getting a pay-per-view event match between the same people. So in terms of repetitiveness, I'm sorry, but WWE just don't want to.
Well, sometimes you gotta hammer it into people's head. You know what I mean? You gotta make sure that they get.
I was
force them to understand what's going on.
AEW give more opportunities to their younger talent as well. They actually put them forward. WWE don't like to. They like to use the same wrestlers every single time on every single show. It's the same matches, just regurgitated. You know, Cesaro.
I just saw Von Wagner on SmackDown for some reason.
All of his matches. We're getting diversity with AEW. We have transgenders on there. We have gay men on there who are being pushed and promoted. Nyla Rose is the first transgender woman to have won a belt, and what WWE probably wouldn't have even hired her if she came knocking on their door. So for me,
a lot of assuming there. A lot of assuming.
Oh, come on.
Hang on. Wait, hang on. Leave it for a second. What I was going to ask before we get on was, Jaxie, is there anything that you can add to Gina's argument, either for or against? Because I've got a few things for Monty that he needs to say if he wants to stick up for WWE. So is there anything?
Yeah, you're gonna need to help me.
No, seriously, I've got loads. It is.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I'd just continue off of what my sister was saying. Like there is definitely room for more opportunity for those that doesn't necessarily fit the standard that Vincent Kennedy McMahon is up to. Vincent Kennedy McMahon has made it very clear the type of men and women that he would like in his show. It's models, and those that do a lot more sort of just photos and photo spreads and ballet work than actual female wrestlers. That's what he values. He enjoys, like seeing male wrestlers of like a certain height. They've always got to be big and stocky, and yet you've got like this amazing amount of diversity when it comes to AEW, whether or not that being, allowing, the likes of a transgender person to be in the competition, and even just, sort of representing of like even the gay community. We've got so much more different cultures that are mixed within the program, and I'm not just talking New Japan, but also Lucha Underground and AAA. And there are different promotions. The different promotions that AEW have allow that of their younger talent to continuously grow, and that's on Dark and Elevation. Their promotions as well when it comes to Rampage and Dynamite, that is perfect timing. That we don't have one show that's 3 hours long that bores people an hour and a half in and is consistently filled with ads and breaks. We've got a 1 hour show on a Friday night that continuously leaves me to be frustrated at it only being 1 hour, but that is continuously the point to keep you wanting more of the content. You've just got so much more diversity, so much more to play with at the moment with AEW.
Can I
go, Dave?
Well, no.
Here we go. James is about to mic drop.
James, this is my first debate. Take it easy.
The talk about diversity in
Unload the
AEW
clip, James.
and WWE is a very interesting point, because as someone who's obviously been watching wrestling pretty closely, Jaxie, you and I have been doing pods together, and you were so emotional when Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks main evented WrestleMania, when Big E cashed on Bobby Lashley to become WWE champion for the first time. A black man had beaten another man for the WWE championship, and we look at the entire roster, with the Street Profits, with everybody that's involved there.
But how many years?
How
many years did it take to get there? It's only taken 2 years for AEW to get that big, but how many years has it taken for like?
AEW got there.
No, wait.
AEW got zero.
Wait, listen. Let me just say. Take out Booker T. Tell me how many years it took to actually have another black man in the running for a championship. Yeah, our first AEW women's champion was a Japanese woman. Okay, sorry, but like right there off the backbone. Like, they've only been around for 2 years, and there's already much more diversity when it comes to their champions than there has been in WWE. And the only reason why we have this now is because WWE actually have been listening to the people when they actually realize who their favorite wrestlers are. So I'm just saying, like, 2 years, and we've still got a good culture of different wrestlers that have been champions. Look how long it's taken WWE.
Jackie won the Cruiserweight title in 2003.
No, but we're not talking about before. We are talking about
the main championship.
We're talking about WWE versus AEW. That's what we're talking about. WWE versus AEW. We're not talking about AEW versus WWE before AEW. It's what's happened in the past 2 years since AEW's become around. That's why it's a debate between the past 2 years of AEW versus WWE. Because if it was the past 40 or 50 years, of course WWE would win. Look at their history. Look at everything they've done. And that's not even excluding... Monty, you didn't even mention NXT UK, which is banger after banger, week in, week out.
Hey, NXT UK being forgotten is not new, okay, James? All right, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't act like it.
WWE gave China the international championship as well. So I'm not saying that WWE don't have that, but if we're only going from the past 2 years since AEW have been live,
look what WWE done the past 2 years. 2 years.
Yeah, just to try and keep up with. Just to try and keep up with what AEW are producing. But
AEW don't though. Look at the main card.
I ain't gonna cap, Jay.
But look at the
simple fact that AEW are about.
What about Killer Cross Helmet, bro?
You'll see Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. You see Pac and Cody with Andrade and Aleister
and then
Black.
You got Keith Blair Lee. Oh no, we don't anymore.
No, we don't. Yeah. We've got the almighty Bobby Lashley who was there. We've got Bianca Belair who is.
And we got the big And we've got the big S&M lover, Karrion Kross. Oh, yeah, wait. No, we don't.
And
What
another
about
thing
that
with that,
helmet?
AEW are more interested in knocking WWE than concentrating their own, concentrating on their own
And
thing.
why not?
We've heard it for
And
both
why
your
not?
arguments. You've both attacked WWE rather than saying how great AEW is. AEW has consistently been the best program in wrestling the past 2 years, but instead of that, it's having to go at Happy Corbin and the stuff that happened
Now
in
that's
WWE.
that's the best point you made.
How they
One
haven't been
comment.
That's the best
One
point you
one
made.
comment about Happy Corbin.
I
One
have to
comment.
say that's a great point, though. That's a great point because AEW fans love to put over how great AEW is, but not actually put over how great AEW is. They just
But it is,
shit
and
on
that's, I
WWE.
see that in my arguments in terms of half of the matches that have come out of it, how they've kept consistent with storylines and how the ending of their storylines and moving on to to newer storylines has worked well. WWE haven't worked that in well, and that's one of my other arguments that I made earlier as well. So you're just focusing on what you want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely think that, but I have to agree with my sister on that one. I do think that we've made both points. We have pointed out the flaws of WWE, but we've also pointed out what we believe are AEW's strengths. So
Yeah,
you see that we consistently have been talking about WWE.
So basically, their strength is that they're not WWE.
That's what I'm saying, and they don't look at their own weaknesses to what to improve.
That's the
whereas
only
WWE
strength
fans
they have.
are always kicking themselves. WWE fans are kind of lows. It's like when you have to admit when you're a kid of being a wrestling fan. It's like you watch WWE.
Acknowledging their faults. AEW are constantly acknowledging their faults, and they, if anything, they take the piss out of themselves with those. With those, my sister already
Tony Khan avoided the hell out of acknowledging what he's been doing with that women's division. So I will say this:
Okay,
you don't want to
but
talk
then-
about that.
Yeah, let's hope he don't hang up on another woman whilst he's talking about it. Like,
Yeah, you don't want to talk about the women's division for some reason. I don't know why Tony Khan seems to keep avoiding that question. I don't get it.
Okay,
but
so
anyway.
who do you both think won?
you really think we're gonna get an answer to
We're
this?
not gonna get. We're not gonna get an answer because I believe that you guys are in the wrong. You guys are always.
No, hey, believe it or not, I'm actually conceding. Believe it or not.
There's a reason.
I'm giving it up.
There's a reason why we're doing an AEW not Survivor Series pre-show, because obviously we're here at this moment in time. But again, it's weird to see how protective people get. Even I've been watching WWE, however long, and you still get defensive over it, like it's someone having to go at your mate, and it's not these big conglomerates with multi-millionaires. They'll be alright.
It's getting harder to defend, though, James. That's the only reason why I gotta concede. Like, it's certain things where it's just like I can't defend this. I'm watching it, and I just hate every second of it. And I'm sitting around, and I got to make an argument for it. I tried my best to think about the things I like the most right now that they're doing. But it's tough, especially in the last 2 years. The pandemic, James, that was some rough stuff, man. You remember Raw last year? Raw was pretty bad, bro. I don't know how you can defend it the way you are.
Yeah.
Because
she mentioned rematch Raw, and oh my goodness, it's so perfect. Rematch Raw.
On professional wrestling, I look at the good and bad in everything, and that's kind of what we do here anyway. Another thing, though, when you talk about wrestling, is that Full Gear, the buy-in for Full Gear is nearly 2 hours away now. So nearly, we are getting closer and closer to the pay-per-view. Of course, we're going to run through the card. We've got a Dynamite and a Rampage to get through. So the last Dynamite, the 10th of November, and it's American Dragon Bryan Danielson versus Rocky Romero to start off. We get a back and forth and counter assault. Neither men are staying control. Counters and reversals dominate for Romero assault across arm breaker. Hope force a tap out, but Danielson fought out, countered attempted slice of bread number 2, and applied the Tequila Sunrise for the submission victory. Monty, we spoke actually on Impact about Rocky Romero. Were you surprised to see him on Dynamite? What were your thoughts?
Kind of, but not really, because it just seems like a lot of guys like a Minoru Suzuki, for example, and a Rocky Romero are kind of scouting out the American promotions that New Japan is working with. So I kind of viewed it in that way. You get here, you wrestle with someone you have a history with, because like I mentioned, they train together in LA. many moons ago, Rocky Romero and Bryan Danielson. So they have a history, and so it makes sense in that from that retrospect too. Maybe even Bryan could have asked for that match because I know he's expressed interest in wrestling in New Japan, of course, at some point. So, I think New Japan is being smart. They're sending veterans like Minoru Suzuki with respect to go to AEW, to go to Impact, kind of get a feel for how serious they're going to be taken over there, because New Japan in the past has had rocky relationships with American promotions, with Impact to be exact, Ring of Honor. So like they've not liked how their stars have been presented at times in some other promotions. So they're testing it out. They're trying to get a feel for how AEW is going to do, how they're going to treat their star. And I think Rocky Romero is a great person to do that with, because he's a liaison who speaks English and also has a relationship with the Gaijin of New Japan, which are the non-Japanese wrestlers, and also has a relationship with Okada and the Japanese locker room. So it works perfectly when you really think about it. So I thought this was a smart move altogether, and the match itself was really, really well done. But it's what I've come to expect from Bryan and a guy the caliber of a Rocky Romero.
Yeah, I think without doubt. Well, we see Tony Schiavone's in the ring, introducing the Inner Circle. Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, American Top Team, attack from out of nowhere. The Hills beat, battered, pummeled, and punished Jericho, Guerrero, Hager, Solomon Ortiz, and Dan Lambert drove a prone Jericho through a table. Well, fell through a table with Jericho, I would say. Lambert applied a Boston Crab to Jericho before Sky Page wraps things up with more trash talk. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this final segment before the match?
Sorry, say that again. I couldn't hear you properly.
What do you think of the Dan Lambert getting one over on the Inner Circle?
I mean, well, firstly, I think it was needed because, in my personal opinion, I see Dan Lambert probably being the one that ends up taking the pin. That being said, it just kind of was one of those things that did its job, where it's just sort of feeding what could be to the audience. Again, me and you had a bit of a discussion about what we think about the Inner Circle at the moment on our previous podcast. And I just believe that, they should be doing more. They could be doing so much more than being like more what I think is a comedy act. I want to see Sammy be defending that TNT championship on a weekly basis and things like that. I want to see Santana and Ortiz really kind of dominating the tag team division and getting an opportunity at some point for the tag titles. I want to see, all of the Inner Circle start to kind of not disperse. I love them all together, but still disperse in a way where they're getting a chance to have some pretty good matches. And I think, from seeing this sort of promo that we saw come from Dan Lambert and the others, it's one that I'm hoping that means that after this pay-per-view, I'm thinking that, the feud will end between them and we might get a bit more of a serious run maybe come from the Inner Circle. It was good. It did what it needed to do, but this isn't one of the ones that is on the top of my list of level of excitement to go. And I think it's just because of I'm kind of I can't remember who said it, whether it was Monty or James, but I'm not really interested in the MMA fighters because of I don't feel like this is gonna stick. They're gonna be back and this be continuous. So I'd rather actually see if the men of the year are gonna come across as heels, that they should come across more badass without having to have the likes of the MMA fighters backing them up. So all I'm saying is I'm ready for this sort of to be over and the Inner Circle maybe get into something a bit more serious.
Yeah, I think without a doubt we'll be getting Tay Conte and Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Jamie Hayter and Rebel. The Hills seized control of the match. Jay tagged in Conte, and the position exploded in momentum, stopping only after Baker intervened. The action broke down with each woman getting some signature stuff for Conte dropped Rebel and scored the pinfall victory while Baker merely watched. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it was great in terms of sort of setting the stone for the upcoming match between Ty and Britt. I definitely think, do you know what? I'm going to be biased here. I absolutely love Rebel, but I don't love her as a wrestler. I think she could be quite messy at times. But aside from that, I did enjoy it. I would like to see Jamie Hayter sort of get more single matches, because I actually think that she's really, really good. But at the moment, I think they're kind of being overshadowed by Britt. So it also kind of just shows you Britt's loyalties in that match as well. Like, she had no loyalties to her teammates in terms of trying to help them out, back them up. Again, it's all about Britt, you know. But I did love the team up between Anna Jay, Ty Conti, and Thunder Rosa. I thought the three of them worked well together. They all looked good together. Even Thunder Rosa kind of matched her ring gear to match the other two girls' ring gear.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I
definitely think that worked. Yeah, and especially with all the big groups and factions that they've got going in there, I would love to see a triple tag belt championship belt come out of it, because there are so many groups out there that can be in a 3 group and just have some tag belts on them. But all in all, I thought it was a great match to sort of prepare us for the upcoming match between Ty and Britt.
Yeah, I think without doubt. The crowd maybe could have been more into it, but excellent point about the match and for the faces as well. Then we get the Acclaim rap through their entrance as usual. Max Caster tells Jungle Boy kiss him even though fetish, which is, I guess, interesting. Anthony Bowens versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Bowens threw everything he had at Jungle Boy in frustration, began to set in as he wondered what it would take to put his opponent away. Babyface showing awareness beyond his year's season opening, quickly guided a snare trap for the submission victory. Afterwards, Bobby Fish attacked the victor, delivered a wicked T-bone suplex before bailing to the floor where Cage and Luchasaurus made the save. Monty, what did you think of this future of AEW here?
Oh yeah, Jungle Boy is definitely the future. He definitely has all the potential as far as the look, the character, the work in the ring. He the promos, of course, I'm pretty sure everyone knows that might be the weakest point for Jungle Boy. But I think, of course, with experience, with time, he can get better at that. I thought the match itself when Anthony Bowens was good. I thought, like I mentioned earlier, Jungle Boy needed a victory because he hasn't necessarily been getting the upper hand, so to speak, when it comes to overall in this feud with the Super Clique, with Adam Cole. So I thought it was good of them to get him a victory, show him getting a submission victory at that, which, you break your opponent's will, so it makes him look strong. Even though Bobby Fish ended up, taking him out afterwards, I thought Jungle Boy still came out just looking okay. And, interesting, I've noticed Bobby Fish almost seems like a brand new guy under the AEW banner. I don't, maybe it's because he's just allowed to do more. That may just why it feels that way, because he didn't really do much in the time that, he wasn't even there when the Undisputed era broke up, and you know what I mean? And he didn't get much time in his run in NXT post that. But I thought this segment overall ended up being positive, though. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. We mentioned how Fish seems a bit rejuvenated. But why Fish? Well, Adam Cole's backstage with the Young Bucks, and he introduced them to Bobby Fish. The Bucks say they know Fish well, and Matt Jackson wants to make one thing clear. There's no dispute. It's the era of the elite. See what he did there. But if Adam Cole vouches for someone and says they're cool, they're cool. Cool pictures Bob on wrestling Jungle Boy Rampage and leaving just a little bit in them to finish the job at full. We then get video package of CM Punk versus the Kingston for the IWA Mid-South stuff, which is really cool. And then Wardlow battling Will and Utah in singles competition. Went about as well would you expect, with a big man steamrolling his opponent for delivering 4 consecutive power bombs. The knee rise out the corner. After the Hardy family office attack, best friends Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy, culminating with Matt delivering a chair assist twist of fate to Freshly Squeezed. Talk about never-ending feuds. Jackson, this was just a complete squash for Wardlow. And did you forget OC and Matt were still feuding as well?
No, I didn't. But I didn't forget. I didn't forget that they were still feuding. But I knew that this was more was going to come out of it. Seeing Matt in the crowd, I just knew he was going to get involved at some point and things like that. I kind of already established Wheeler Yuta the minute that I saw that he was facing Wardlow. I was just like, oh gosh, they really just want to Tony Khan woke up and chose violence for Rito Yuta that day. You know, Lord rest his soul. He didn't get 1 ounce of offense in. So, but that's how they should continue booking Wardlow as well. You know, there's got to be a point where Wardlow is just gonna kind of get a chance to just go beast mode and be really let loose away from MJF. That being said, do I want this feud between Matt Hardy and Orange Cassidy to kind of be over already? Do you know what? This is the only feud that I'm just kind of not really enjoying as much. And I think it is probably the only one that I probably could say out of AEW that I think has just been going on for a bit too long, for my opinion, or for my liking. So, yeah. That's what I took from this.
Well, no, brilliant. CM Punk and Eddie Kingston having a vicious pull-apart brawl and a loading bay, as you do. And then Dante Martin, Lio Rush versus Lee Moriarty and Matt Sydal. And Insecurity down Moriarty as the crowd came alive for Rush. So they'll put Rush off the ropes with a Hurricane Runner, while Moriarty obliterated Martin with an uppercut. They've been team absorbed and fought back with Rush calling the shots right up to Martin, delivering a springboard moonsault to Moriarty for the win. This was a great tag team match. What are your thoughts on this, Gina?
It was a great tag team match. I'm not going to lie. I'm very, very biased in terms of I really love Lee Moriarty. I actually think he just needs to get pushed so much. And so every time I see him, the more and more I see him, I just get excited. I don't know what it is about him, so don't ask me to point anything out, but I just think he's so great. And I would love to see him just continue to grow, because I believe that he could become a really, really great wrestler in the next few years. So the fact that they've kind of put him in together with the Sydals as well is just amazing. Yeah, I just thought it was a great match altogether. And I was happy to see Lio Rush wrestle. He was absolutely awesome. I was kind of expecting him to be great, though. He was just awesome. His technicality in the ring is just, it's great. He's not lost it at all.
Well, no, it's weird as well. Like some wrestlers have certain kind of ways about them. It's like Dante Martin now is kind of king of springboard. Phoenix can run the ropes, but those bottom ropes belong to Leo. Like he can do stuff and bounce off them that not many wrestlers can. And I think it's really, really interesting to see where they go with that. We get another strong promo package from Miro, where he tells Bryan Danielson that he's just a body standing between a man and his wife. And then Dax Harwood versus Pac. Pac survived an onslaught by Harwood, uncaught a devastating shotgun drop kick, a slingshot Liger bomb, and a strong near fall with chance of AEW spilled. Moments later, Pac recovered and applied a brutalizer for the submission victory. After the match, the Bastard refused to release the hold, only for Wheeler to hit the ring and save his partner. The lights went out when they came back on. Malachi Black and Andrade Adido appealed, joining FTR for a beatdown of Pac, Lucha Bros, and Cody Rhodes made a save as a huge brawl erupted. Monty, what did you think of this? I thought the match was fantastic, especially the top rope brainbuster was such an amazing move.
Yeah, you don't even expect. Usually when they go up and they lock up like that, you expect a superplex, or you know what I mean, the usual top rope maneuver that always gets a great reaction, because it's just not a fun bump. It looked like to take either way, no matter what you are, what side you're on the suplex. But when you get like a snap like brainbuster, like that was absolutely like sick, and it was beautiful. And I agree with you. The match itself was wonderful. I enjoyed every second of it. I thought both guys showed a surprising level of chemistry with each other. I don't think I was expecting that, the level of chemistry that they had in the ring. But the match itself was very, very good. And as far as the brawl and setting up, kind of what they're doing now with Cody and the whole with Pac and Andrade and everyone, all that, that was fine. It is what it is. I make this point a lot on my podcast, of course, all the time. I'm over the brawl. Like, I'm just over the whole point, the whole brawl. Like, WWE and everywhere really now, because it's not just WWE. I'm probably just over the whole execution. Like, some brawls, of course, I'm cool with it, but it happens almost. It's almost like I say with the roll up. It's something that I've seen so much week after week, or program after program, that I'm just over it. So the brawl didn't do much for me, but it was, I understood where they were going. So I guess the point that they were trying to get across definitely got across, though.
I mean, I don't know how you can get tired of brawls. This is wrestling. What else do you expect them to do? Like, they're always going to be fighting and stuff like that.
No, I'm with it. It's just all the time. Every storyline got to be an uncontrollable brawl.
Yeah, you got to get the crowd lit, innit? If you don't get the crowd lit,
Big Show's finisher was a punch. You mean tell me it takes 30 people to get Charlotte and whoever that was she was brawling with?
I think the only thing I got a question is, Cody, why the hell are you coming all the way down through the audience when you can see that your like opponent's already in the ring and you're walking down through the audience? Yeah, like, you know, you have like the likes of the Lucha Brothers, you know, having sense to run out from the ring, like from the back of the entrance. Like, Cody, what were you doing? You weren't going to get down there for ages. Like, he literally had to sprint it down there. I was like...
He did the same thing with Malachi Black.
I know. And he left Rosario Dawson there fighting him for ages.
Yeah. He did the exact
same. Why are you coming through the audience? Do you know how long that's going to take? Plus, everyone hates you right now. Why are you coming through the audience? Yeah, like, that was the only thing I questioned. Yeah.
By the way, the Cody hate is so unfair. The man just don't want to turn heel, and they're just like, "Nope, we're gonna bully you into it. We're gonna boo you anyway." Don't care.
You three hate him. I can hear that.
I honestly don't have an issue with him. I think everyone just needs to get over that issue with him. But I mean, if they're gonna continue to be like this, then like, you know, that's fine, but just accept the fact that Cody doesn't want to do that. You know, like, we shouldn't be bullying a man to being a heel. But then again, I got issue with the fact that everyone bullied this man from like dyeing his hair back from brown to blonde. Like, all of like, it's so superficial and shallow. It's ridiculous. I just think to myself, just like, Cody, if you're gonna do a promo where you're gonna come down and actually make a save, actually make sure that you're backstage. Like, don't take ages getting there because you're all the way at the top.
The ring, mans have already dispersed and gone.
Exactly. Like, the Lucha Brothers probably could have taken out everyone, including Malachi Black, and you would have only just gone to the ring. So,
isn't it funny how everybody had a go at me about title belts and go, that's a weird subject, and you're talking about how long it takes someone to walk to the ring.
Run down etiquette.
What have we become?
It's more it's a mere discussion as to how a question as to why Cody would choose to come down through the audience rather than actually, you know, already being backstage, which normally you'd presume he would be, because of like, he might be like backstage giving like directions on the mic or doing whatever.
But I don't even think this is the last brawl in this show, now that I think about it.
Listen, I just already told you, it's wrestling. If you don't have a brawl to help fit up your major characters,
we've got an invisible line. There's an invisible line where you go, come on, get in the ring. You go, well, no. No one talks about that.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's basically what Cody just did.
I dare you.
What about how the referee chooses when to see stuff? They have peripheral vision.
Well,
when they
in AEW, it happens all the time, doesn't it? But no, we're going to move on. We'll move on, and we see Dark Order and the Elite leaving the building. Our main event contract signing. Omega claimed AEW was meant to be for Page, but he always knew Hangman needed the Elite to be successful. The anxious millennial cowboy recalled last year's Full Gear, and Omega telling him he was proud of him, but he wasn't. He was afraid of Page. The tone intensified between Omega, and he implored his challenger for one last handshake before the contest. Suddenly, a cameraman attacked Page for revealing himself to be the previously absent Don Callis. And with Page's forehead bloodied, the best bout machine proceeds to sign a document into opponent's blood. Jaxie, what you thought of this?
I mean, that's one way to sign a contract, I suppose. Again, when it comes to contract signing segments, you get a little bit worried because we all know how they go in WWE, and it's not actually that fun to watch. So I was quite apprehensive to watch this. However, I think both Hangman and Kenny are such amazing presenters. They know how to talk on the mic, and they know how to sort of like cater to the audience and the way that they say things and the way they deliver their lines. So I actually really enjoyed this and thought it was quite good, especially at the fact that they do have a lot of history. So they they were bringing up a lot of history that, you know, as a fan, if you have been watching it consistently, it kind of pays off. All of that hard work pays off, and it feels quite kind of nice when you can be a fan listening to them discussing, you know, all the sort of major points within this history of a feud that's been forever building for 2 years. And you can kind of see both points, both valid points. The creativity to kind of sign the contract in Hangman's Blood was hilarious. I just thought it was absolutely brilliant when the cameraman crossed over the other cameraman, because instantly my sister and I at the same time were like, hold on, like, why is this cameraman just getting in the way of the other one? Like, if I was like the staff, I actually would have been tugging on him, like, get the fuck out of the way. The fuck is that sort of thing. To see it was Don Callis and how far he went with his sort of makeup design, with the fake makeup and beard. It was hilarious. I thought it was quite funny, but at the same time, you were also just like, oh, I can't wait till Hangman gets him, you know? So I think it did its job. It kind of like, you know, did what it needed to do in terms of being like the go-home show 24 hours before the pay-per-view. So I enjoyed it.
I heard some people moaning about Don Callis taking out the lead babyface a week before the pay-per-view, of Gerald Briscoe taking out Stone Cold a week before Mania. But I think some people could be a bit... For me, though, this is 2 years in the making. Where's the sit-down with JR? This should have been Rock and Austin build of the biggest AEW match. The passing of the torch. Saying, I am the number one guy. You just can't beat me, and history proves it. And Paige said, yes, but I'm going to give you everything I got. I'm going to give you absolute best. And this Saturday is going to be two of the best in the business, giving 100% for that title. And instead it's this. And again, I can understand why they went this way. I was just maybe a little bit disappointed because we, as fans, have been waiting for this match since... You know, for 2 years, haven't we? You know.
Yeah. No, you do make a valid point there. Actually, we really should have gotten a sit down with JR, because I do think that there was so much more that could have been said. You know, they did, like I said, they did their job of actually outlining how this feud has been, like, for, you know, 2 years in the making, but only touched on like the main points. But as you say, for veterans like us who have consistently been watching, this is something that could have been so much more than just a 10-minute little skit. This should have been something like, you know, a sit down with JR type of thing, and it could have generated a lot of views and a lot of popularity from it. I mean, it still has, and it still will. These are two men, as you said, that we've all been anticipating this match and wanting this match, but it should have been treated so much more like that.
I think without doubt. We're on to Rampage now. November 12th, Excalibur, Taz, Chris Jericho, Ricky Starks on commentary. First match, Jungle Boy versus Bobby Fish. And Jungle Boy stormed out the gate using his quickness to take control. Fish went back the back and attacking in the arm as well. Crushed and explosive suplex into the ropes. Jungle Boy was almost knocked out. Fish unloaded kicks to the damaged arm. JB caught with his one good arm and transitioned to the snare trap submission for the victory. Afterwards, Adam Cole ran in for a double team beatdown as he pulled out the chairs. Christian Cage, Luchasaurus survived for the save, and Fish was sacrificed by an unprettier by Christian. Gina, what do you think of this?
I'm so glad you came to me on this, because I'm going to have to go back to just before the match. You mentioned Ricky Starks is on commentary, and he is my husband. So Ricky Starks, if you're listening to this, call me. But yes, back to the match. It was a great match. I loved how they kept up, again, the consistency of the storyline in terms of, you know, Bobby Fish fighting Jungle Boy. I think it was good that they didn't have anyone come out, and they had a clean finish to the match as well. I think it would have kind of ruined it having another disqualification, but I think that they wrestled so well together. Bobby Fish is just great. I can't wait to see more of him in AEW. And I'm intrigued to see where it's going to go with him and the Elite. And I'm wondering whether there's going to be full loyalty or whether it's going to eventually change. But I definitely think that it helped to plant more seeds for, you know, future matches. That could be in the future, and I definitely think that it's just helping Jungle Boy get even bigger. he's just such a great young athlete, and I can totally see him growing even more from this. So yeah, it was a great match.
Yeah, we're out of doubt. We get a hype package for Bryan Danielson and Miro. Miro said it would be a very difficult challenge, but Danielson is confident he can win. We get the Young Bucks on a Cole backstage with Paige interrupting a promo. Cole refused to leave until Matt Jackson gave him the okay. Hangman apologised to the Bucks for throwing away their friendship, costing them a tag title shot, but it cost them a title shot as well. Hangman believes they make them even, so if the Bucks lay a hand on Hangman during the world title match against Kenny Omega at Full Gear, he will ruin them. This was good cowboy shit here, Monty.
Yeah, it was very strong. It was real well done. I really loved the intensity, especially towards the end there, with the way he said, what he would do to the Bucks if they found a way to intervene, or which honestly I don't see how it'll be hard for me to see them not doing it. But now that I saw that, I'm happy to see that, because now it would explain if they don't make an appearance to Kenny's side at Full Gear, and I would like them to just let it be a straight up, best man wins, type of situation. But we'll see, of course, how they decide to wrap this whole thing up. But this is just another element, like I said, between BTE and between the little subtle storytelling they've been telling with Hangman for a while now. This is one of the best weave stories that they've been able to tell. And I think this just added another element of hype, because now it's like, okay, now I don't even have to, I can put shenanigans from the Elite to the back of my mind and just go into this match fully focused on the experience of Hangman versus Kenny, who is the better out of the two. And I think this just added to the hype and made everyone even more ready to answer that question of who's better out of Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. And I think that's money right there. That's perfect.
Now, and then up next, Jade Cargill versus Santana Garrett. Red Velvet was a front row spectator, and a cake was ringside of Honor Cargill's anniversary signing with AEW. Cargill didn't fuck around in this one and ended it pretty quickly with a jaded gland slam. In the aftermath, Velvet sneak attacked Cargill on the floor and shoved a cake into Mark Sterling's face. Ladies brawls a little until officials separated them. Velvet and Cargill will get another chance to tussle in the quarterfinals of the TBS Championship.
For the pay-per-view, Monty, calm down.
Jaxie, go on. What are your thoughts?
I mean, first of all, that was a bit of a devastating spear by Red Velvet, so I got to give her fair play credit to that. I mean, Jade is not a small woman, and Red Velvet is kind of small, so the impact looked a little bit painful. I do think that both these women have a great chemistry together. I think they work well together. Do I see the likes of like Red Velvet defeating Jade Cargill? Not really, not so much. However, I do see the amount of she's got that tenacity to never give up, and I can see that about her. So I think that with plenty of time, I think she could grow into a great wrestler and have some great continuous matches with Jade and others. I'm slightly disappointed to be hearing that none of these TBS semi-final matches are even happening on Full Gear. But then again, this is one of the sort of smaller underlying issues that Tony still needs to continue to work on in terms of the women's division getting given as much consistent sort of airtime to be able to better create their stories and build these matches up. They wouldn't need to have brawls before every pay-per-view if they were actually doing the storylines right. But that being said, this is something that we'll have to wait until after Full Gear to really kind of touch on more and discuss more about, considering nothing's coming to fruition at Full Gear. But I did like the segment. I thought it worked well. It's just because if it wasn't for Full Gear, and we don't really have anything for them at Full Gear at the moment, it did kind of feel out of place.
Well, the thing is as well, 2 matches in 3 hours of TV a week is not enough for AEW, and it always seems like, we're going to address the women's situation after the next pay-per-view, and then the pay-per-view comes, and we've got 1 or 2 women's matches. Look, WWE, as we've agreed tonight, is shit, but can still put 3 or 4 segments with the women in, and the main event matches and stuff like that.
Definitely got invested with it. Yeah, they've definitely gotten better with it. I mean, certainly more better than what AEW are currently doing. However, they do have such a great roster of women that they deserve. These women deserve a lot more screen time. So this is one of the sort of smaller weaknesses that Tony does need to work on. It's all about having an easy balance between not just a diverse amount of talent, but males compared to female getting screen time. Tony needs to consistently work on that.
Yeah, and one of the things about this match, though, that actually made me laugh out loud was that Excalibur at one point telling Jericho and Ricky Starks to shut up about being cake-faced and actually carry on with commentary. And I'm thinking, when's the last time I actually heard a commentator just say, look, shut up, would you? We get a hype package of CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston. If Punk has to hurt Kingston to teach him respect, then that's what he will do. And then Dante Martin versus Rhea Daivari. Martin was too slick and in control of the action until Daivari knocked him off the ropes into the turnbuckle. Daivari picked up momentum for a net breaker, hammerlock clothesline, and a frog splash. Set today, Martin was back on track with a springboard flying attack and closed out with a victory on a double springboard moonsault. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
I thought it was great. Dante Martin continues to just elevate himself, really. And it's a shame that his brother is injured, but I think he's done so well in terms of, doing his singles run and pushing with it. I mean, that moonsault that he does every time, it looks so beautiful. He's always kind of killing it with his moves. And yeah, I'm really excited to see more of Dante and him growing more. I know that he's not really involved in the biggest of storylines, but I think putting him with Leo has been really beneficial. But he's also just been doing so well for himself, and that match was just great. It just showed, his talents. He's got some real great talents, and I can't wait to watch him more.
No, it's great to see Daivari as well getting a bit of time, and of course Martin has been given a lot of screen time recently, which is good. But another good match. Of course, Leo Rush was absent due to family reasons. Team Taz trying to approach Martin, but giving him time to think about it. Martin looked like he was going to cry again. Monty and Gina, have you know Dante Martin is going to cry?
I don't know if that's his youth, but he definitely makes a face. Whenever he seems to be approached.
Such an innocent one, doesn't it?
That just shows his youth, man.
He's gonna cry.
Like people like Dante and Cora Jade just make me feel like an old wrestling fan at this point. When you just look at not only how young they look, but how young they are. Like I feel old. So yeah.
Well, we get Mark Henry interviewed the main event participants, and Matt Hardy intends on destroying Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy's just like, well, that's not right. And then the main event Lumberjack match, Orange Cassidy versus Matt Hardy. We see Chuck Taylor, Chris Statlander, and Willie Ute address as Lumberjacks. The rest of the list included Peter Avalon, Ryan Nemeth, JD Drake, Austin Gunn, Colton Gunn, QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, Nick Morato, Max Casey, Anthony Bones, Brian Pilgrim, Griff Garrison, Figure the Slow, Zia Cassidy, Blade and Bunny, or as I call it, AEW Dark. And right as the match started, Hardy offered 20,000 bounty to whoever knocked out Cassidy. We see Money Matt come back with a side effect. OC returned fire for a whirling DDT, and then it turned into a WWE match because we see Hardy went for the Leech submission, Cassidy broke free, Superman punches connected to various Lumberjacks, Statlander's beard Bunny, and Blade surprised Cassidy, Brass Knuckles punch. Hardy made the easy cover for the victory and then locked in the Leech afterwards, and Blade used the Brass Knuckles to club Uther and Taylor. He handed them over to the Bunny to bash Statlander as HFO stood tall to close the show. Like I say, a very WWE main event. What do you think of this? And didn't we have Blade versus Orange Cassidy recently? Or am I tripping?
Yes, we've already
I'm
had
pretty sure we did.
Yes, we've done. He has wrestled the entire Hardy family office, okay, or whatever they supposed to be.
I honestly thought, how they said after the Mark Henry interview that this is going to be the end of it. Why do I feel like it's not the end? And it's just like, how
you like that finish?
Like, I mean, to be honest, Tony Khan was a bit of a prick. He woke up and decided to choose to be a prick today, didn't he? Because there was hardly any faces. Where were the Dark Order? Where were a mixture of heels and faces? It predominantly was what's that? What's the
Yeah,
team
the
called?
Harrison
This.
and
There you go. That was them. You had them, and who else? This, and then Chuck Taylor and that. There's like 6, maybe 5 faces. I mean, what did you expect? They were all going to get beat up. Like, I thought the Dark Order might have come out. Like, we might have heard their music, and then they make the save. It didn't happen, and instead we just then get brass knucks, and it's like
That's sad. The Dark Order got to save everybody.
Well,
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
Dark
to be
we
fair,
have no other baby faces.
they got the numbers. They got the numbers. They could have
Right.
easily evened out the amount of like fake heels that were out there. I just where are they going? Where are they going with this between Matt Hardy and
Hopefully
Orange
it's
Cassidy?
over.
Because I am so
It's not
over
over.
this. Unless the only way you are going to actually sell any of this to me right now, and I'll eat my words and I'll take it back and I'll say 1,000 pardons, is if whatever is going to come to a fruition ends with Trent coming back to wrestling and to kick Matt Hardy's ass, and maybe he's the one who ends up ending that reign. That is the only way.
Have he been fighting Matt Hardy the entire time he's been out with injury?
I don't know. Like, all I'm saying is they need Trent to just come back. That this is the only way it's going to actually make sense for me to actually accept that feud is still ongoing. Because otherwise, I don't understand why this feud is still ongoing unless it's because let's get Trent's coming back. Let's have Trent come save the day, take out everyone. Do you know what I mean? So unless that's going to happen, I'm so over this.
I think AEW should treat this like WWE treated Finn Balor, the demon falling off that turnbuckle. Let's just act like this is over with, it never happened, and we can just move on. Yeah. See, sometimes that method works. Sometimes just moving on and acting like stuff never happened works.
Well, we're going to move on and run through the card and talk about predictions now and pretend nothing ever happened. So, actually, as we know, we've got Full Gear. So I'm going to ask each of you a very important question. It's what I ask every time before we do predictions for each one of us. It's the level of excitement for the event and the match most looking forward to. So, Gina, if you go first, what's the match you're looking forward to the most, and what's your excitement level heading in to this pay-per-view, which is just a couple hours away now?
I mean, my excitement level is at its highest, I would say. It's got a really good card, and there are quite a lot of storylines that have some matches on this card that I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to end them all. The match I'm looking forward to most, it has to be Eddie Kingston versus CM Punk. I just love Eddie Kingston. I think that if I was male, I would be Eddie Kingston myself. So I feel like I resonate a lot with him.
I'm going to try and put that picture. I'm gonna superimpose.
Oh yeah, I can picture it. Can you see it? I can see it, Jack. No, I'm just playing.
No, I do get into, my sister will say, I do get into a form of, like, she calls it G mode, where like my kindness nature is rich, and she's like, you're like Eddie Kingston. So I'm definitely looking forward to that match. I just think Eddie's amazing at entertaining. CM Punk is obviously always great to watch as well. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
That's excellent. Monty, what about you? What match you look forward to in excitement level?
My overall excitement level of the show, I was going through the entire card of my podcast, and I couldn't believe it, like how just well stacked. Like, really the only match that I really could care less, I've mentioned it already, like that I could care less about, and that is pretty much the MMA inner circle beef, I guess. I could care less about that. But other than that, everything else I think has a place on this card and can be really, really strong. But what I'm looking forward to the most, like I said, is Kenny Omega, Hangman. It's really the main reason why I'm buying this, is a payoff to a story that they have been telling for a long time now. And I just feel like that match, they can mess it up. And I don't know how you don't call it a WWE decision if they do what I don't think a lot of people want them to do. But before we get into that, I just want to say that this match will be probably one of the most compelling for reasons not just with the work in the ring. I think they can tell the story, a heartbreaking story possibly, or maybe even a very uplifting and having everyone happy by the end of the night type of story. And I love when wrestling does that, and it can tug at your heartstrings like that. And I don't think anything tugs at the emotion on this card as much as Hangman and Kenny, just in my opinion.
That's
Agreed.
excellent. Jaxie, what about you?
Okay, so I am about 70% excited for this. It would be up, like majorly up, if it wasn't for this fact that I'm just going to like point out real quick right now, and I really hope that Tony Khan listens to this because I'm addressing him. This is a stacked match card that we have. I am super excited for this. What I'm not happy about is how stacked and how many matches we have, and only one female match made it onto the main event. We've got a pre-show that has a pretty good female tag team match on which I'm just as excited to watch. However, I'm not impressed at the fact that there's only one female match on this actual main event when Full Gear is such a major pay-per-view. So I would like to see more than one female match this time next year at Full Gear, and that's the only critique I have for you, Tony. So please do listen and take some advice from myself. That being said, the match that I'm pretty much looking forward to, I've got to admit, has got to be Miro versus Bryan Danielson. I'm itching to kind of just see how Bryan Danielson is going to handle this version of Miro. He is so full on in beast mode, and he's not yet like come out of it. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think that's excellent. You know, when we think about the excitement, I think my only worry for this is that it can't be good as the last AEW pay-per-view, can it? Like, the Saints got to have... Last was perfect.
Don't jinx it, James.
I'm just worried, that's all. I'm just worried.
Right, if anything goes wrong, everyone here heard it first that James jinxed it. So blame it on James, okay? I want to see everyone in Twitter tweeting saying, "God damn it, James!"
They do anyway.
He's slick. He's slick. He's doing it on purpose. He's slick, man. He's slick.
God damn it, James will start trending. Watch.
Well, we'll do predictions quickly because, of course, the next time we'll be doing a podcast, Jaxie, will be you and myself. That'll be recording Tuesday for Wednesday, of course, and we can do predictions here. So we're going to ask everybody what they think. So we'll start with a buy-in. And of course, it's Jamie Hayter and Nyla Rose versus Thunder Rosa and Akira Shida. We'll start off with Monty. Which way do you think this is going to go?
I think because of its placement on the card, and because of just like what I know about how pre-shows, in my opinion, should go, I think this is going to be fun. It's going to have high energy, and it's going to pump the crowd up. And I think to keep the crowd hot, leading them into a fun night of wrestling, I think you give the babyfaces Thunder Rosa, you give Thunder Rosa and her team the victory because I just feel like that's who should win when it comes to setting the tone. Shida and Thunder Rosa will be the perfect people that I think you let set the tone, have a competitive but fun match, but the babyfaces win to like I said, get that vibe going right for tonight.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there. Jaxie, which way are you swaying for this one?
I'm also going to agree with that, but not only because of what Monty kind of said, but I genuinely think, come on, you are literally giving us Thunder Rosa and a Hikaru Shida team up. This is going to be a peak match. I think Jamie Hayter is a really great wrestler as well, and I'm really intrigued to see the team up between her and Nyla Rose as well. But I do see the outcome being that of my girl Shida and Thunder Rosa.
Gina?
I have to agree with Jaxie. Pretty much the same.
Don't sound so annoyed.
It's not because I got to. I said the point you probably wanted to say.
Yeah.
Up next, Jurassic Express, Christian Cage versus the Super Click in a Falls Count Anywhere match, and we'll start with Gina first for this one.
I think the Super Click are going to win this one. Jurassic Express are great, and so is Christian, but I definitely think that the Super Click are going to get one over. Is it the first time that we're seeing the three of them fully tagged together on a pay-per-view? So yeah, I definitely think that is going to be the super quick.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there, Jaxie.
Yeah, I think that it's really hard because I actually think that there's so many great talent on either side that deserve a win or need a win, but I do think that is going to be it. The main outcome is going to be the super quick that wins it. Right now, we've just got like too much of a unity going, and with this sort of like potential addition of Bobby Fish potentially joining the fray, I think there is definitely opportunity for distraction to come into this match. So I'm going to go with the super quick ones.
And Monty?
Yeah, I think both of you guys just made great points, and I think it's smart. It's really hard for me to believe that Adam Cole, the big name that he is going to lose his first pay-per-view appearance in AEW, especially alongside a team like the Bucks. Even though I love the babyfaces, they're strong characters, and I wouldn't mind them getting the victory. I just don't see it, especially if what I want to happen in the main event is going to happen. So it just seems right that you give the Super Click that victory, and maybe we all win in the end of the night, kind of, if you know what I mean. But I also wanted to point out that although that this match, like I said, is like I think we all know where we're leaning. I think we should expect a great ride to get to that finish.
Oh,
if
yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, I think everyone involved are great, and I think we're going to see them do a really good job with this match. But I'm going with the Super Click also. It just seems like the smartest pick to make.
My only worry is that this match is quite similar to the Dan Lambert match as well. So I think these two will be spread apart. I think maybe Inner Circle might start off the show with that match, and then this maybe a little bit later on, because like I said, it's going to be a hell of a show. Cody Rhodes and Pac versus Malachi Black and Andrade. Jaxie, which way do you see this swaying?
To be honest, I honestly think that Malachi Black and Andrade are going to win, because I the only reason why I think they're going to win it is because I think they need the win. I'm going to go with Malachi Black and Andrade on this, and I'm mainly saying that because this is going to be this is going to be a great tag team match, but unless they really want to kind of, in my opinion, bury Malachi Black and Andrade, they need this win. So I'm going to go with them.
Monty, what are you saying?
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm probably not going to choose the popular answer here. I'm going to go with only reason why I would like Cody and Pac to get the victory here is because I just so far following the trend of Cody's feuds, a lot of times they're not over unless Cody prevails in the end. And I'm kind of not that I'm over this entire feud with Cody and Malachi Black, because I think every match they've had has been great, and the match with Andrade was also great. So I'm not trying to, say that they shouldn't continue this, but part of me is kind of over the whole feuding with Cody Rhodes when it comes to Malachi Black. I kind of want him to do other things, but I also can understand wanting to protect guys like Andre and Malachi. So I'm not arguing against either side here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pac and Cody prevails, just as the way to cap off Cody's involvement with those two. But I don't know. We'll see.
You're going Cody and Pac then?
Yes, Cody and Pac.
Okay, fine. Gina, which way are you going to sway?
Oh, it's a really difficult one. I mean, I love all of them that are involved in the match, especially Pac. I have a little weak spot for Pac. I just love him so much. But I do think that Andrade and Malachi are going to get this one. I just feel like they're I think that they're just going to overpower them. I really do, and I don't think that they're going to be able to come back from it. So I definitely am going to go with those guys.
I believe that he'll win tonight. I think Black and Adele are going to get the win, but I'll be interested to see what Cody Rhodes does, because he's saying he's not going to turn, but that is a red herring. And I think if you were to put him together with Black and Andrade involved there, and maybe even FTRs, we've seen it teased, and then you've got Tully, Arn, you can bring Flair in with Andrade, and not 4 horsemen, but you can have, these 5 guys. There's a real pinnacle, and not this kind of pal imitation that we got at this moment in time. Up next, Eddie Kingston versus CM Punk.
Poor Sean Spears, man.
Yes, so fuck him. So Eddie Kingston versus CM Punk. Gina, which way do you see this going then?
See, the thing is, I feel like CM Punk will win it, but I kind of want Eddie to win it. Not because I want CM Punk to lose, but I definitely feel like Eddie's got such a bad attitude, and I feel like he needs to pull that off and get this win over CM Punk. So I am going to go for Eddie, because I feel like he needs to beat Punk at one point.
Do you know what? I really am swaying towards Eddie, because I'm thinking it's the way Punk's calling him a bum and saying he's not worthy. And I'm thinking if Eddie can get that win, it won't hurt Punk too much, and the reaction would be just as incredible, maybe even more so than CM Punk getting a win. But I don't want to sway anybody. Monty?
Yeah.
I can't argue with Eddie Kingston. I'm going with CM Punk. I don't see him losing this soon into his return. I wouldn't mind it. Hell, I was actually trying to make the pitch that he should put over Darby Allin in his first match. No way he was losing that damn match. It was his first match. But I actually wouldn't have minded it, because it would have created not only a bigger star in Darby, but it also would have gave them a great feud. But I understand not wanting to turn either one of those guys heel, so I don't mind it. But I don't see CM Punk losing this match, even if it is to Eddie Kingston, that I think we all love. He's one of them. What I love the most about him is that he's not a babyface through actions or not even through his tactics or anything that he says. He's a babyface because everything he does just feels real, authentic, and it doesn't really matter whether he's on the side of going to get someone you like, whether he's going to get somebody you don't like. Eddie Kingston is going to be Eddie Kingston, and that's one thing I really, really appreciate the most about his character. So I think we're going to enjoy a hell of a ride getting there, but CM Punk is either going to put him to sleep with the go to sleep, or we're going to get another middle finger type of submission out. I don't know, but either way it go, it's going to be a fun ride to get there, but I think CM Punk is winning. I don't see him losing this early into his return.
And Jaxie?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with everything that you guys are saying about wanting Eddie Kingston to win. He's got such an unhinged personality that you really just don't know what he's going to do next, and that's what makes him such an exciting wrestler to watch. So ideally, I want Eddie to win. However, I don't see CM Punk having his winning streak thwarted by Eddie, unfortunately. I really would love to see it happen, but I don't see it happening. So I'm going with CM Punk on this, but I wish it was Eddie, because I actually think that it would be really good to kind of have him portrayed as, the Mad King that he actually is. I don't know whether or not that will actually happen, though.
No, I've got to think CM Punk as well. Next match, MJF versus Darby Allin. Monty starts off.
Okay, so I made the argument on my podcast for MJF, mostly because of not only did the fact that I pointed out earlier that MJF really don't lose in a lot of these scenarios often as it may have come off or it may seem. He don't lose. So it's just Darby Allin beating him this early seems like it'll be too early for this feud. MJF rarely just goes away. And, I don't think after you lose to a Darby Allin, you deserve the right to just keep it going. Now, MJF is disrespectful enough to just do something even more disrespectful to continue it. So that's a possibility. But I really see MJF winning, even though Darby Allin is going to do like he always do, put his body on the line, give us a moment where we're like, oh, my God, I hope he's okay. But we're going to enjoy it because he's out of his mind. And I can see it being a fun match, but I think MJF is going to win, obviously through nefarious tactics. I think it's obvious, but MJF is going to take the victory, in my opinion.
Jaxie, what about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with everything that Monty says there. They definitely have the likes to be making a really great match between these two, but I do see MJF picking up the win here using very dirty tactics indeed. But I do see a great performance coming out of the likes of Darby Allin, and I also see a brilliant moment in our future that we're going to get of Sting taking out Wardlow. I'm just waiting to see it.
Gina?
Oh, it's a difficult one because I want Darby to win, but I just think that asshole MJF is going to get it. So yeah, I'm just going to go with MJF because I just think he's an asshole and he's going to get it.
Well, he is an arsehole, there's no doubt about it. But I think for me, I'm going to go and buck the trend here because, yeah, MJF maybe, is in a position at this moment in time. But I think Darby needs a victory, especially after CM Punk, especially after the build-up and MJF putting him down about his uncle and everything that he believes. And I think maybe Wardlow costed MJF in some way in this matchup and then leading towards... Because that's what's next for MJF when he has to face Wardlow. And I think they can look at that and Darby can kind of move on a little bit from there. So I'll say Allin when it comes to this one. The World Title Eliminator Tournament final, Bryan Danielson, Guerrero. Jaxie, which way do you think this is going to go?
This has only got to go one way, and this has got to go the Miro way, in my opinion. I love Bryan Danielson. I'm so looking forward. Like I said, this is one of my most anticipated matches. Just to see these two kind of go off. Like Bryan Danielson's so technical. I can't wait to see him try to kind of wear down Miro. But then I'm also kind of expecting Miro just to kind of unleash, so to speak. So, I mean, definitely looking at Miro for the win.
We'll go Miro for the win. That's quite cool. Monty, you next.
Yeah, I have to give my fiance and my co-host credit because she mentioned this on our pod when she was talking about her pick of Miro and kind of saying they can go in the route of a lot of this God talk. You can kind of use what happened with Moxley to kind of be a way for Miro to think he was even more meant for this title shot because of how, it was something that was out of everyone's control, right? That got him this opportunity. So you can even play into that factor. So I like that. I really do like that. But I still had to go with Bryan Danielson only. And maybe this is the first time where I think I have a pick mostly based on just my personal bias of not really caring whether it's Hangman or Kenny, but just the fact that Bryan Danielson, since coming to AEW, if it's one thing about Bryan Danielson, he has told Tony Khan, obviously, from the beginning that I just want to work. I don't care where, I don't care who, I don't care. I don't care if it's a young guy without name value. I don't care if it's a guy with the same amount of name value. I just want to work and do what I do best. And he's found a way to be very, very intriguing with just ring work. And I really appreciate that, especially as someone who loves New Japan, and they're all about telling stories through their in-ring work. And I think that's what Bryan Danielson has been doing masterfully. And I would not mind if he won this and continued to weave these beautiful stories and possibly just have either a rematch with Kenny or a one-off with Hangman, whether he wins or not. I understand people may want to put that match off, but you can't tell me Hangman versus Bryan Danielson, whether it's on a Dynamite or whether it's at a special event, it won't be compelling stuff to watch. So I
yeah. Are you telling me that you can even get excited? You can't tell me that Miro versus Hangman wouldn't be.
You're right. It's the same. I can't make the argument against it. It's really that strong. That's how you know they've done a really good job with this tournament, man.
Yeah. Again, though, another reason why this is my most anticipated match to watch tonight. Because of it's interesting to see who's going to be the outcome, because then you're looking forward to even more forward to the main event, because you're like, okay, so which one is going to be facing the winner of this match? And to be honest, either way, I'm going to be excited for either man to win this match.
Yeah, it can't go wrong, honestly.
So let's say, Gina, which way are you going to go on this one?
I'm going to go with Miro. I just think that his promos are some of the best promos ever, and he gives me chills. And again, what Monty was saying about the whole God sort of complex thing, I definitely think that he would benefit from this win. And I also wouldn't mind seeing, Hangman, because I do feel like it's going to be Hangman. I feel like Hangman versus Miro would also be a really, really great match. So I'm going to go with Miro.
I'm going to say Danielson for me in this one, because then, like I said, the main event, it puts a bit of doubt in your mind where you think, well, Omega and Danielson again, so it could possibly, The Inner Circle versus American Top Team in a Minneapolis street fight. I just want this feud to end, really, so I'm hoping Inner Circle. What about you, Monty?
We're speaking the same language, James. I know sometimes we get loud and we argue for the fun of it, of course. But you speaking my language, man. I can't wait for this to be over. Please let this just end my misery now. The Inner Circle, go ahead, get the victory. I have no problem with that. I mentioned that I wish Sammy Guevara was doing more TNT title stuff. So I feel like getting this over, we can get him right where he needs to be, back defending his belt. And hopefully Jericho and the rest of the crew find something. Maybe Ortiz and Santana can actually focus on tag team titles for once. Like, there's a lot of other things I'd rather have the Inner Circle doing, honestly. And so I hope they win and we get this over. Because if the MMA guys win, that means this is not ending. And that is not good to me.
Jaxie.
Yeah, I have to agree with you guys. I want Inner Circle to win this. But I'm just ready for it to be over. I completely agree with Monty. I want to see Santana and Ortiz start picking up more within, thinking about tag team gold. Also, can I just quickly say, Ortiz has gotten so much into shape. He looks good.
Yes.
Honestly,
yes.
he looks super good. That hard work that he's been putting in has definitely paid off.
It's like he showed up on TV and just shrink one week. It's just out of nowhere.
You know what I mean? I just was like, wait a minute, hold up, Ortiz. I see you. So, and I also would like to see Sammy in more of a singles run position where he is defending on more of a weekly basis. So let's just get this over with, please, and just let the Inner Circle win this.
And Gina?
Yeah, I think the Inner Circle is going to win this one. It doesn't help that the other team has, Dan on the team, who's clearly not like a well-trained fighter. So, I definitely am going to side with the Inner Circle.
Trust me, I've been let down by Dan's before. Don't worry. We've got Lucha Brothers versus FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championship. This should be quite a good matchup. Gina, which way do you think this is going to go?
I'm going to go with Lucha Brothers, but I will say that FTR have been so great in terms of their wrestling, and I actually really enjoyed the one-on-one match that we had with Dax the other day as well. So, but I definitely think that the Lucha Bros are going to win this one still. They definitely have more to give as tag team champions, and I think that they've got quite a few feuds still under their belt to give us. So, yeah, I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Jaxie?
Agree. I think it's too soon for the belts to swap over. However, that being said, this is going to be just a crazy tag team match. FTR is such an amazing tag team themselves that it's going to be like a close, cool one, I think. But I don't see the Lucha Brothers losing this.
Monty?
I believe if you look at FTR's resume, they work really well with a lot of people, specifically teams that are the opposite of them style wise. So I think that's been hammered home millions of times, probably by everyone who pays attention, that this match has a chance to be really, really special, because we've seen FTR have special matches, not only with them, with the Lucha Bros, but like teams like the Lucha Bros, and they do it effortlessly. And I think this would be no exception. I don't see the championship changing hands, though. The Lucha Bros are really, in my opinion, just getting started. And I think a victory over our FTR would be a good catapult into maybe even more battles with FTR and other teams. Because I just, like I said, I think the Lucha Bros have something special with Rey Fénix and Penta. And I think you should just ride this out and let it keep going. I don't think you should do it now. If you're going to change the titles, let's go somewhere first with the titles. Let's actually tell a story, because that's one thing I also have to give AEW credit about. they've been pretty good in their tag division of having stories with the tag titles. For the most part, when they change hands, it's a lot of drama going into it. So hopefully they continue that trend and they don't just switch it just to switch it or just to do it.
Yeah.
For if they have a long-term goal, yeah, do it. But I don't think they should. I think the long-term goal should be riding with your babyface champion.
Yeah, without doubt, I'm going to go Lucha Bros in that. Right, penultimate match then, the AEW Women's Championship. Britt Baker versus Tay Conte. I'm going to say Britt because Tay is no threat whatsoever. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this?
I am going to go with Britt because I only really see one woman taking the title off Britt, and that's Thunder Rosa, and that's not even any shade to Tay. I think that Tay does have the potential. However, I just think that this is, again, the one issue with AEW is that they haven't showcased their women enough. So I don't think that Tay has done enough in the ring for any of us who have been consistently watching to really believe that Britt is going to lose to her. And a lot of that is to do with sort of the little faction and the minions that Britt has as well. I think that there's only one rightful woman to take that title off of her, and that should be Thunder
Rosa. Gina, what were your thoughts?
I'm going to go with Britt as well. No shade to Tay, because I actually think I love Tay Conti. I actually think she's got great energy when she's in a match. I think she always brings it and kills it. Even when she's sort of in a little jobbers match, she always, gives 110%. So it's no shade to Tay at all. But again, I don't see Tay taking the championship from Britt at this moment. I think somebody else will take it from her. And I think it's going to set a nice little maybe future feud between Britt and Anna Jay. Anna Jay possibly wanting to get retribution for her friend. But I don't see Tay winning it. So Britt all the way here.
Monty?
Yeah, I agree. Britt Baker's winning. But surprisingly, James, you say she's no threat whatsoever, but in that video package on Rampage, they were talking about her like she was,
Brock Lesnar.
And I think, yeah, they were. They were really putting her over. They really were, putting her over. And I think legitimately, if you're talking about her background, yeah, she probably has a real shot against anybody legitimately. And she's like 30-4 record-wise. So I think she's done enough. I think it just goes back to the point. I think Jaxie made the point that, they just don't display their women right. So she's 30-4, but have y'all honestly seen all 34 matches? Have they all been spotlighted the same? No, of course not. No, right, of course not. So that's
Dark and Elevation. She is wicked. She kills it on there.
She's unbelievable on Dark and Elevation, right? Like
the Dynamite fans aren't gonna all know this. So
right, exactly. Your casuals and people who don't have the time to, catch up on YouTube and all that, they're not going to know that. And that's the problem a lot of time. That's what I was mentioning earlier about AEW's women division in general. The reason why none of the other ladies really feel like they're on Britt's level is because for a while now, who's the only woman that's going to take up most of the television time for the most part? It's going to have something to do with Britt, usually. And, they involve other people sparing. Jay Cargill gets the squash match, but a lot of times, that's why another thing is funny to me how the rankings work. She's been ranked number 1 for a long time, and I still don't think they displayed her enough to kind of get people ready for what to expect in this match. But I think this match will end up being a strong match because I think Ty is really decent in the ring. I think this has a chance to be pretty cool, but there's no way Ty is winning. I think, like you guys mentioned, Britt is just on a whole nother level character-wise, and it's hard to see a person who with a strong character like Britt Baker losing the championship to somebody like Ty who has not been given the same amount of time to establish herself character-wise.
Without a doubt. Well, that's it. 9 matches talked through. So there's just one left. And that is, of course, the main event of the evening and possibly the biggest match in AEW history. They have built it for more than 2 years. Former tag team partners. The man who can't seem to win the big one. Tonight, will it change? Kenny Omega, Adam Page. This is a match. If they do it right, and Monty, you probably understand this more than anybody. If they do this right tonight and tell the story, it will become my favourite match and moment, and it will be Ilya Dragunov versus Volta. And for me, that is high praise indeed.
Yeah, they have a chance. They have a really big chance of making this not only match of the year, but just like one of the best matches of the last decade with the story that's attached here and with what they're both capable of in the ring. If they do this right and they take their time, you can put this story up against the Kofi Manias. I'm not saying it compares because I think Kofi Mania has a special place in my heart, but the feeling, the catharsis that we all got when he pinned Daniel Bryan at the time. I think this would kind of feel similarly for Hangman finally, getting over the hump. Like it's nothing like a kind of like underdog-ish, like finally getting over the hump story. And I think this story has been well done and set up perfectly for a chance to be just as special. And I think the ring work definitely can be just as special as Dragunov and Volta. Do you want my pick now, or you want me to answer?
No, I'll take your pick as well because that's
Okay.
been my favourite match this year. But I'm really got high hopes for this. Let's hope you don't let me down. Who are you going to go for?
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's one. I mentioned this also recently. Like I really am trying my best not to overhype it because I do not want to be bummed out when I get there. You know what I mean? Sometimes as wrestling fans, we play things up in our mind, and it may not always go exactly how we see it. But so I don't want this to bum me out. But if Hangman loses, I have no other way to say it other than if Hangman loses, we ride. It just seems like it's too perfect of a story to not give this victory to Hangman. Kenny doesn't need it. He's done everything he needs to do, in my opinion, with the belt. Hangman is the best contender, one of the most credible baby faces left on the roster for Kenny to even have this match with. Also, Kenny Omega for a while now wrestled through injuries, all types of I don't know if anyone pays attention, but when he was doing extreme cupping throughout this reign, all types of things, wrestling through tough things throughout his title reign. So Kenny, in my opinion, deserved a break after this great run as the belt collector, and I think a great way for him to just take some time off television is to tell this story, wrap it up with a beautiful bow, let Hangman have his moment, and he can ride off to the sunset for a few months, and then we can lean more on the super click side of things and maybe have a power struggle, elite super click type of problem when Kenny returns down the line. So I'm sorry, I know I just kind of laid all that out, but this match is a really big deal, so I really wanted to explain that. But yeah, I'm going with Hangman Page winning this match.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those. This potentially could be one of those ones that goes down in AEW history for not just its feud, but for the type of match or a main event that it could be. This could be one that's talked about for years to come. That the epicness of the storytelling for over 2 years now would just be very unsatisfactory if Hangman doesn't come out of this on top and win. So my vote is definitely going with Hangman. I'm just really excited to see these two finally let loose in the ring. They've been doing really well with not really putting them together since the initial split and everything. And it's just that this is the match that have people itching for it to start already, for the pay-per-view to start already. So this is the outcome that would be most satisfactory, and would probably go down so much more better in history if Hangman is the one that comes out on top of this. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Finally, Gina. Hello.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. I just wanted to check in there that the Dragunov and Walter match was also wicked, so I definitely agree with you on that front. But this match is definitely good. It's got to be in Hangman's favor. I definitely think that with everything that they've started from 2 years ago and the storyline, it's definitely Hangman's time to get that belt. And yeah, it would be nice to see Kenny get a little break for himself. So yeah, I'm rooting for Hangman to win this one.
I think without a doubt, and I think when we look at this now, this could be the crown and achievement, the defining moment for AEW. The WrestleMania 14, Austin. Page can win this. Because in our minds, we've already created stories. We had this story in our head when Omega and Page were teaming. And even now, and I know Monty's thinking this as well, with the Super Glick kicking out Kenny Omega and having that kind of storyline. And then what's next for Adam Page as well? Page needs to win this. And this could be a more defining AEW pay-per-view moment than the last time when we had Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson coming in, because the crowd are going to be 100% behind Omega. And for Page, for a babyface, we don't see it that often. Let's just hope the card, like we said, can deliver and this main event can come true. I am tempted to set my alarm just in case you fall asleep so I can watch the main event live. But that is basically it for predictions. And that's basically it for the show. Can you believe, guys, we've been doing this for 3.5 hours?
Wow. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
It doesn't feel like it's been 3.5 hours.
For Monty, it does. He hates it. He really...
Nah, Monty had fun.
Yes, I did have fun. I would be lying if I said I didn't have fun. It was fun.
Well, everybody had fun listening to this live, and we hope everybody has fun for AEW. Like I said, the buy-in starts in an hour's time now. So it's going to be an incredible night of action. Of course, me and Jaxie will bring you the full review for, of course, Full Gear on, Wednesday it will be released. But that is it now for today. I'd just like to thank, of course, Jaxie and Monty, part of the WNR TV here, and Gina as well for your very first show. I hope you enjoyed it.
I had an amazing time. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been really, really fun to be a part of your podcast. I listen to you guys all the time, and you always sound like you have so much fun. So I'm really excited to have been able to join you this time.
Oh, you can work out behind the scenes we actually hate each other. That's quite nice. It's always a way. It's always a way. That is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media. Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR JR. Monty, where can everybody find you? Your amazing podcast.
Yeah, look up Mind of Monty podcast on anywhere you're looking for, preferably Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But you can click my link in my bio at Mind Monty Pod, and just check out our last few shows. Check out the latest show where we predicted Full Gear and talked about Power Struggle. So I'm doing better. I'm more and more consistent every week, and I'm having fun with it. So check me out and hit me up if you ever got any critiques, anything you want to talk about. If it's too disrespectful, you will be blocked and ignored. So it doesn't matter. But I'm willing to chill and talk anything. Video games, wrestling, everything under the sun. Music. My podcast is venturing more into music. I'm in love with Silk Sonic's album. That's a preview for the next episode. We're definitely reviewing it. Anyway, check me out at My Monty Pod. Thank you.
Jaxie, everybody, of course, can hear you on the WNR Podcast, but where can they reach you?
They can reach me on both Twitter and Instagram, and it's just at Jaxie Scarlett.
And Gina, of course, I know this is your first appearance. If you do want the general public and the people listening to this to contact you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Purple Pain and on Instagram at Purple Rain. So either one.
Perfect. Of course,
Purple rain.
We're gonna get copyrighted. We can't sing.
All rights reserved.
This is
all rights reserved to the artist formerly known.
Yes, I tried to do a guess the theme tune once on a live show and got about 8 lawsuits. So I tried. Try not.
Bleep it out. Bleep it out.
Well, that is it. The WNR also on Facebook and Instagram, across all Google platforms. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com. YouTube WNR Podcast, where all latest clips, podcasts go up. Same time on YouTube, they do SoundCloud on phone. Also Spotify and iTunes. We can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Like I said, our next episode with Jaxie is Wednesday for AEW Full Gear. Our next one is with Monty is next weekend. I've got him kind of chained to a radiator, just producing shows for me week in, week out. It's NXT.
Oh yeah, I'm trapped, you guys. You guys haven't noticed, but I'm locked in the basement or whatever. Like I'm doing this against my will. Y'all haven't noticed, but like I get shocked if I'm trying to. I can't. I've been speaking in code this whole show.
If you listen to it just says Monty, help me, get me out of here. Help. Our next one with Monty, which we'll enjoy, will be NXT Update. The next team show, well, it's going to be huge actually because it's in December. And not only will it be the 7th annual WNR Wars, I know 7th annual, but it'll also be the 4th WNR. So WNR 400 with the WNR Wars, and that will be coming in December. And that will be, and I don't mind saying it, the biggest show in the history of podcasting. And of course, I cannot wait to everybody.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. It'll be fine. Until then, I have been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Again, thank you very much for joining me, Jaxie.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.
We've got Gina, of course, first time, but of course, welcome back anytime now.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, guys. I've had so much fun, especially debating with my twin.
And Monty, you're not going anywhere, so we'll just prepare for the next show.
Yeah,
all right?
Y'all know where to find me. I have no choice in the matter.
Radiator, just remember that.
Well, on that note, thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.
Adios.
Bye.
Yay.
Are we still live?
Not live anymore.
So look, I think just doing the end credit. But yay, this thing is that